ignites in them a passion for adventuring in the great outdoors, teaches them the art of craftsmanship, and facilitates strong friendships rooted in faith. Join us on our educational journey. Visit ourside.org to learn more about our imaginative programs and summer camps. And check out my new book, Casting Fire, on Amazon. That's ourside.org.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to goodrx.com/GLP. That's goodrx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
It's tax season. By now, we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number, $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed. Save up to 40% in your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. That's LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY. Terms apply.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer. Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's April 7th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Cheers, it's National Beer Day. On this day in 1933, people could once again buy, sell, and drink beer, so much so, Americans guzzled 1.5 million barrels of legal beer and ale. Also on this day, in 1948, the World Health Organization is established. It's the United Nations agency concerned with fighting disease and epidemics worldwide. In 1805, the great explorers Lewis and Clark leave Fort Mandan in North Dakota to continue their journey west. Born on this day, singer, songwriter, actress Billie Holiday in 1915, actors Jackie Chan in 1954 and Russell Crowe in 1964, and legendary writer, producer, director Francis Ford Coppola, who brought the world the Godfather trilogy. I'm CJ Papa, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
She's gone from reporting on the sidelines to making sense of the headlines. It's the Michelle Tafoya podcast.
The media is trying to lampoon this group. Yes, they are. They're calling them a bunch of 19-year-olds in hoodies. People go to war as soon as they're 18. You're okay with that. But a 19-year-old genius trying to help the Treasury save money? Oh, God forbid.
Subscribe to the Michelle Tafoya podcast today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
If you're hiding your smile because of missing teeth, are experiencing pain due to incoming wisdom teeth or a misaligned jaw, Midland Oral Surgery and Implant Centers can change your life. Experts in the fields of oral and maxillofacial surgery, anesthesia, and dental implantology, the doctors at Midland Oral Surgery are committed to providing compassionate care in a calm and relaxing environment. Dental implants, bone grafting, removing wisdom teeth, surgical management of the hard and soft tissues of the facial region, including sedation dentistry, so you can improve your smile in a painless, pleasant, and stress-free manner. With state-of-the-art CT imaging equipment, Midland Oral Surgery and Implant Centers have unparalleled diagnostic and treatment capabilities, proudly serving Southwest Chicago and its suburbs for over 50 years. Make an appointment to discuss a pain-free solution for your smile. Locations in Frankfort, Tinley Park, Oak Lawn, and Western Springs. Learn more about the doctors and procedures at midlandoms.com. That's midlandoms.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly, or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products. Turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913. AM. The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling and tell them AM 560 sent you to receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Breezy, cloudy, couple of snow showers today. High 42. Clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight with a low 25. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high 43. Clouds and a bit of snow and rain at times in the morning on Wednesday. Little or no accumulation, the high Wednesday 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good Monday morning, Amy Jacobson here, and we have a newbie on the morning show, filling in for Dan for the next 3 days. Well, we'll see how today goes. But welcome to the show, John Kroc, correct? I'm just kidding,
no,
Chris.
Eduardo López II. Por favor.
¿Qué pasó? ¿Tú hablas inglés?
Sí, también español, sí.
Ah, okay. So, hi, Chris. I was joking around that your name was John.
No, I know. It was good. That was very good.
Yeah, trying to make it.
I was raising my hand, excited, like, the newbie. And can I ask a question? Like a little teacher question and answer. But, it's possible I may not make it back for tomorrow. You never know.
You never know.
I might get voted off the island.
No, that's all right. So you're from Wheeling High School. Are you and Charlie Kirk good friends? Because he also attended Wheeling.
Are you freaking kidding me? I had no idea.
Oh,
by the way, it's not Wheeling. It's Wheeling, man. Wheeling.
It's not. No.
Yes, it is, ma'am. You didn't go there. I did.
I'm from Hershey, and I went to Wheeling's prom, and I'm friends with people from Wheeling.
Wheeling.
And they're all Italians and Greek.
Wow.
And Polish, and just like people from Mount Prospect.
Jeża Polska jeździnała. Co się stało?
Okay.
Ja jeszcze znowu spać.
All right, 3 languages in under a minute.
No. I know like 10 catchphrases in Polish because I'm a Polak from Chicago.
Okay.
Born and raised in the city, then the suburbs, yes. So, yes, ma'am. Did the tour. Did Lindenhurst and Buffalo Grove. Then my parents got the nice huge house with a bathroom for my little brother. He has his own bathroom. He's younger than me, almost 10 years. And he had the skylight in the bathroom. No, he had the skylight in his own bathroom. And I did not have that in Buffalo Grove where I live, which, even though we went to Wheeling.
Okay, so we're going to stop calling it Wheeling.
All right, I know you don't like that.
We're not going to, that rubs me the wrong way, man. I don't like it.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, they're not going to like it at all. But I grew up in Mount Prospect, and there was 5 of us and 1 bathroom.
Yes.
So all these kids these days who have the Dolly sister where they share, the Jack and Jill where they, 1 bedroom's over here, 1 bedroom, they share a bathroom. And then, no, that's not enough. Little Susie needs more privacy. So then they build a bigger house with a private bathroom. So you'll have a house with 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms.
Right.
Exactly. So, these people need to suffer a little, don't you think?
Yes. And I just remember I was excited when my mom let me pay for my own phone line in my room. And I had a little TV stand. I got a TV, and then I won the I'm a Sub-Zero Hero contest with the Daily Herald, riding around on my bicycle at 0-degree weather, listening to Def Leppard Hysteria, and I won the Sub-Zero Hero. You call in when it's below zero, and then they picked me, and I won $100. I bought a Atari 6400 playing Joust in my room, and then watching Good Times.
Oh my God! Wait, the Sub-Zero Hero?
You're a Sub-Zero Hero contest. When it goes below zero and you're delivering papers, which is insane. That's when you should quit. You call in and leave a message. Hi, I'm a Sub-Zero Hero. Here's my name. Here's my route number as a paper delivery boy. And then I won. I never win anything. I win.
Oh my God! I delivered the Daily Herald too for a while.
You know what?
I would fill in for my friend Kathy Muno. I'd fill in for her route because she and her mom did they lived on Basswood, and every morning we'd get up, tie those papers together, then go out on the bike, and I would help out a lot. And then when she'd go on vacation, I'd do the route for her.
How bad were you with throwing the papers? Because I got in so much trouble all the time.
Really? No, I was pretty good arm. I'm athletic. I think, unlike you, because I heard you're not athletic, but that's okay.
So
I had a good throw, and then I had the follow through. So I had the torque and the follow through. So I'd make it all the way to the porch.
Twerk and follow through?
I just said I could torque it and then just follow through.
I didn't know we were twerking back then. But I did participate in football for a while, for 2 years in 7th and 8th grade at the Little League, whatever it was, in Buffalo Grove. I sucked. And then I did play football for one little semester in Wheeling. Sorry, I don't want to. And I sucked. But I did also do gymnastics, which I was moderately decent at, but I didn't win anything. No, I was terrible.
Were you on Wheeling's gymnastics team?
Yes, but I was, I thought I was awesome. I did pommel horse.
Oh, that's really difficult.
Yes, it is, but not as much as the rings.
Yeah. Oh, the rings are. I mean, the whole gymnastics is such a hard sport.
You want to hear a funny story on the gymnastics? So we're practicing. I wasn't at this rehearsal. This one guy was really a dorky guy. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, but he was buff. He did the rings. He was doing like maybe it was the uneven bar, or not the uneven bars. The guys do what's it called? The one bar. I forget what it's called. You swing it around, whoosh, whoosh, full body, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
and so this dorky guy, everybody loved to pick on and make fun of him. Although nobody picked on him because he was buff, but he's just a dork. He one time goes flying, poof, you know those thick, massive gymnastics curtains that come down with the weights at the bottom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he flew off of it accidentally somehow and went into the gymnastics curtain, poof, and then slid down. And then he got up and he looked around to see if anybody was looking, and he thought nobody saw it, and he just walked off like it was nothing normal. I missed that tape. My buddy told me about that story.
You know who you sound like? You sound like Joel Brodsky, doesn't he?
I don't know
Justin?
I don't know who that is.
Drew Peterson's attorney. Famed attorney.
Oh, okay.
You sound
Do you want me to make up some legal terms?
Exactly like Joel Brodsky. It's crazy.
Wow. Do you want me to do some legal terminology?
No, I'm okay. Yeah, actually, I think his license is on hold right now.
Okay.
Because he knows some information about some people that police are looking for, and was going to come out and disclose that. But there's attorney-client privilege, so that's a whole other thing. Okay, NCAA game. Anybody? Today's a big championship, and I know we're going to talk about tariffs and everything else, but we have to talk about our AM 560 morning bracket and our pool that we're in. And I was doing so well. Chris, I had 12 of the Sweet 16 picked. I had the Final Four picked.
Wow.
And then I had Duke playing Florida, but clearly that's not going to happen.
Wow.
Back outside, Proctor tosses it up. It's no good. The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars. A furious comeback to knock off Duke and advance to the national championship game.
Yeah. They were ahead 14 points with 8 minutes left in the game. How does that happen? I mean, when I was in Iowa City Bar, because it was a mom's weekend for the Phi Psi House, and every sorority and fraternity there had mom's weekend.
I was wondering why you were there.
And the place was packed, and everybody hates on Duke. And I said to this one young man, I said, why the vitriol? Why is everybody so happy to see Houston? When I said, we're so sick of winners. We're so sick of Duke because they win all the time. But John Schreier, he's from Northbrook, went to Glenbrook North High School. I'm friends with his aunt. I love her to death. I've known her for 12 years. She's such a wonderful, godly woman. And she has helped me over the years with advice and counsel on a number of things. But he was tearful after the game. And, he can't explain what happened either.
The very first thing I want to say is how proud I am to coach these two guys next to me in our entire team. I mean, it's been a special ride that ended in a heartbreaking way. And frankly, the game, we did what we wanted to do. I thought our guys followed the game plan, controlled the game. We had the lead for 35 minutes. We're winning by 6 with 1:15 to go. And they made plays, and you got to give them a ton of credit. We didn't make those plays, and you go from some of the most special moments in the tournament to the most heartbreaking loss. And I'm not about to feel sorry for 1 second.
Nope.
These guys have done an incredible job. It's heartbreaking. It's incredibly disappointing. There's a lot of pain that comes with this. That's what the tournament is all about. You're an inch away from the national championship game. But I could not be more proud of these two guys next to me. We've done this thing differently. And what they've done at 18 and 19 years old, I couldn't fathom doing. Just incredible. Houston's a championship caliber team. We had a ton of respect for them. Obviously, we still do. Really disappointed we couldn't make one more play down the stretch.
And now I went from first to what, Justin? Our technical producer puts this together every year. And
well, I don't want to give you the credit, but you're still in number 1.
Really?
You have 126 points to Quinn's 124, to Dan's 103, to my 81.
Ooh, wah, wah. But Dan has Florida winning it all, right?
Dan and Quinn both have Florida winning it all.
So they're gonna beat me if Florida wins, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who
do you have winning? Texas Tech?
I don't even want to talk about it. My Tennessee let me down.
Oh.
What was this, the first year in however many years that the all number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four? It's ridiculous.
2007. First time since 2007.
Ridiculous.
Oh, I think it's great. Okay, real quickly, while we have you here, how was your move? Justin, Chris, in case you know, Justin lived in Elgin and had been robbed. Well, his car was broken into a few times. And they have a baby on the way. So he moved over the weekend. I actually offered you help, and you kind of laughed at me. But I'm serious. I have a minivan where I can take out the seats and flip down the back. And you can put so much stuff in there. People don't realize. But you didn't take me up on my offer.
We did not. No, we had like 35 family members marching in and out of our 2-bedroom.
Is it because you didn't trust her handling your goods? Is this what this is about? Is this a backhanded thanks but no thanks?
No, we didn't want too many cooks in the kitchen, and I don't want to.
Oh, I am a cook. I would be.
And this cook you didn't want in the kitchen. That's what I'm hearing you say. This particular cook.
Yeah. Because I'm very demanding. Like, no, that goes on top of there. You don't need another
Tetris lady.
Yes, exactly.
That's my wife. Oh, God.
So wait, are you moved in and everything?
Oh yeah. It was a one-day operation. Same town. We were in East Dundee before. That was the East Dundee PD we were dealing with, and now we're over in Elgin, so a little bit safer.
Have you alerted the authorities that you're here, that you've moved in with precious cargo on the way?
Oh, no, but I got my camera system all going, so.
Oh, my gosh.
Any possible offenders, beware.
Oh, that's so funny because I finally got an alarm system, Chris. I got Goldilocks, and if you want to support a conservative company, they do commercial and home installments. But figuring it out, I thought it was going to take forever because I don't like this thing called apps and QR codes. I can't stand any of that stuff. I was hoping it would go away. But I figured it out, and now, Justin and Chris, I can adjust my thermostat from here in the studio.
Yes, you can mess with your spouse.
What do you mean?
With your spouse. We had the same kind of a thing going down. And until my app thing, I have to call the company. I'm a too lazy carrier. It's my fault, but it worked for a long time until I have to call them. And then, when you mess with your spouse, like while she's at home and you're at work or vice versa, you turn it all the way up or all the way down. You make it extremely uncomfortable. They get all like, what's going on? And eventually they look over there, they get mad at you. But you can mess with your spouse.
Oh, I see.
That's what that's all about.
Chris Kroc, we forgot to mention that you were in Dallas. You do not live here. You're currently residing in Dallas. That's why you're not in our Signature Bank studio.
I want to be there, though. And if you ever have me back for like a week, I'll come out there. I got my whole family's there, obviously.
We have a still picture of you up, though. It looks lovely.
And my heart is
there.
Still there. It's always been there.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we have a packed show for you today. We'll get to the serious stuff. 8647, the hands-off protests we'll discuss. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley is here. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. U.S. stock futures are plunging, giving an indication of what may be coming today following a rough week on Wall Street. President Trump said Sunday he wasn't sure what today will hold.
Now, what's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger. And eventually, it'll be a country like no other. It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
The market was slammed following continuing concerns that Trump has ignited a global trade war in regards to his new tariffs. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House today to discuss new U.S. tariffs imposed on his country. President Trump told reporters Friday that he invited Netanyahu for discussions. The talks will also likely include Israel's war in Gaza. Netanyahu's visit could mark the first attempt by a foreign leader to try to negotiate a deal on tariffs. The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with cuts to teacher training grants. The cuts are part of the president's crackdown on DEI initiatives. It's a setback for 8 Democratic-led states that brought a challenge to the White House's policy. The court ruled 5-4 to put a hold on the order from the U.S. District Judge that required that the Department of Education reinstate the funding to those states while legal proceedings were conducted. Chief Justice Roberts joined the court's 3 liberal justices in dissent of the decision. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to.
We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Mike Lindell and his employees want to personally thank you for your continued support of MyPillow. They have a big allotment of their bed sheets that were earmarked for the box stores this spring. Well, they did it again. The box stores didn't come through, so they're going to pass the savings on to you. Now there is no middleman, so you're going to get wholesale prices on their famous Giza Dreams and Percale bed sheets. Giza Dream Queen Size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99. King Size, only $79.99. Percale Queen Size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98. King Size, only $34.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. Free shipping options available. This allotment won't last long. When they're gone, they're gone. So remember, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to get these amazing wholesale offers.
The fight against abortion in Illinois has never been more important than it is right now.
Thanks to our elected officials, Illinois has become an abortion tourism destination. The number of abortions in our state continues to grow, despite the fact that crisis pregnancy centers outnumber abortion clinics almost 3 to 1. Now, thanks to a new effort by Caring Network, it's possible to reach abortion-minded women to provide peace of mind and security to help them choose life. This new Reach Her First initiative seeks to provide women with the assurance and information they need before they choose an abortion. But Caring Network needs your help to reach women who are considering abortion. For a one-time gift of just $150, you can help reach 5 women and help them choose life. That's all it takes to prevent an abortion. To make that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, 13 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 7 minutes outbound, about 8 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 12 minutes outbound, 12 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 14 minutes outbound, also 14 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 11 minutes outbound about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Breezy, cloudy, couple of snow showers today. High 42, clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight with a low 25. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high 43. Clouds and a bit of snow and rain at times in the morning on Wednesday. Little or no accumulation, the high Wednesday 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Okay. I have just been informed by Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer, that Florida plays Houston. If Florida wins, then he is the winner of our Chicago's Morning Answer NCAA bracket pool. So, good luck, Quinn, tonight. Are you going to watch the game, Chris?
I will not. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay. I like that you're honest.
Yeah, I'm not a sports guy unless we're winning in the we're in the playoffs. We're getting real close. Then I start getting. But most importantly, I really follow sports when it's something we're all talking about. That somebody gets arrested and does something crazy or stupid.
Oh, at a game.
Yeah,
they still never figured out where those shots were fired, who they came from, where they came from at the cell last year or the Comiskey Park. Remember that story? There was a teacher, and then 2 rows behind her, there was another lady, and they both got shot in the leg. One got grazed and one got shot. Everyone was fine, but never found those shots fired. But there's something else, speaking of sports, that's going on.
Yes.
At the cell. You got to see. This is, all right, if you're going to any game, whether it's the Cubs game or the Sox game, but particularly the Sox game because you have the highway, the Dan Ryan's right there. While you're exiting on 33rd and 35th Street, they look like illegals to me. This is conjecture on my part. But guys, that they don those yellow vests that you can buy at Walmart and pretend that you're a city worker or that you work for the cell. And they're shaking people down in their cars. This is some pretty scary stuff. This comes to us from Dave Savini from CBS Investigates.
You are watching a modern-day version of highway robbery.
The money.
An organized team of thieves on motorized scooters swindling travelers in the middle of rush hour on the Dan Ryan Expressway.
We didn't see any police nearby, so that made us even more nervous.
We caught them demanding $40 in cash in order to pass.
They don't let you turn right unless you pay them the money.
It's kind of an extortion in a way.
It is
Ryan
extortion.
Cawley and his wife Jackie were heading to a Chicago White Sox game when they were surrounded.
I just remember he went around to my side of the vehicle, and he was swearing at Ryan because Ryan had said no. And then at that point, he started swearing really loudly and then started kicking the car.
The scammers pretending to be official White Sox parking attendants.
They had the yellow vests on, and they had a fistful of cash, which gives them, the appearance that they're actually legit.
And they're on phones.
We were a little bit late. So it was like, the game's already started. Here, we need $40 cash. There's no spots left. If you want to get a spot, you got to give me the money now. And I said, well, I don't have $40 in cash. And I thought, the sign says credit debit. I have my credit card. He's like, no, man, that's not how it works. You need $40 cash. This is the last spot left. This is it.
And when you told them, no, I'm not going to pay it, they got aggressive.
Yeah. And I think that was around the time when he went around to the back and just started kicking us to get out.
And we've heard from other fans who have had their cars blocked, kicked, or punched. One woman reported to a traffic aide she was spit on when she refused to pay.
Amazingly brazen, right? I mean, but these are scammers. They're just trying to take your money. They're trying to bully you, get you to stop and roll down a window and take your money.
They can be hard to catch. Watch as a state trooper cuts them off, and they take off the other way down the Dan Ryan.
And we got to make the punishment be there.
The White Sox even put up "Say No to Scammer" signs to try and warn fans only debit and credit cards are accepted in their lots.
I mean, and have you seen this video? These are pretty big dudes.
Yes.
And they're daunting. I mean, if they came up to my car and I was by myself, well, first of all, I would.
You would not be going to a White Sox game by yourself.
No.
Would you?
Well, no. I mean, I have, but this is watching that video, and we'll tweet it out.
Scary, yeah.
We look like a third world country. They do that stuff in Ciudad Juarez, because I used to live in El Paso, and we'd go there, and they would literally surround your car, and if you didn't pay a tax, whichever they deemed, if it was $10 or $20 or $30 or $40, you stayed there. You weren't going anywhere. So that's why they'd always say, if you go to border towns, bring cash just in case. In case you get pulled over, you can pay off the cops. But have you ever seen anything? I mean, we must be so embarrassing to people in Texas.
Not this bad. No, not this bad. But this reminded me of going to Midway and then whether dropping off one of my loved ones or vice versa, and sitting by myself in a car. I dropped somebody off. Anyways, sitting in my car by myself, ready to get the hell out of the rough area there, about to get on the highway at a stoplight, and some guy comes over with a squeegee. And he starts squeegeing. You're like, get off my car! Don't touch my car. You're going to scratch.
You mean cleaning your windshield?
Yes, with a squeegee. Okay. And so, I should have mentioned the windshield, of course. So doing that, and I'm like, get out of here! You can push your little windshield wiper fluid. We click the wipers on, piss him off, and then he started, yelling at you, screaming at you. And, I've seen stuff too with aggressive. I know it's not the exact same thing, but it's close enough. Aggressive panhandlers jumping up on the hoods of cars, including one city council member in Dallas who was talking about one of her constituents. A guy jumped up in the car and defecated on the hood.
Oh my gosh!
It's beautiful. It's happening everywhere. It's so beautiful. Isn't this great? I fault. Look, I'm not like Mayor Johnson faulting the business, the White Sox. But I got to say this. Why don't we do undercover stings? Why don't the cops do undercover stings? Why doesn't the White Sox use their freaking weight of who they are for the people that are in line getting off the highway to do something about this? They have a bully pulpit. They have power, don't they?
And you could see that. I mean, they're on scooters. They work in teams, so it's not one off or two people. And I just can't believe they can't get to them fast enough to stop it. I mean, you see in this video the Illinois State Trooper pulling up, but then they got on their scooters and then go the wrong way down the Dan Ryan. How's that going to end?
Yeah, well, for the thugs, good. For the cops, not good unless they have it ready to go. This also reminds me, the same kind of crap goes down in Dallas by Fair Park, which is the hood, right? Of course, that's where they have concerts, the State Fair of Texas and stuff. And you got these people, it's the funniest thing in the world. They're doing the same crap, but they're not attacking you per se. But they are in these fake vests. I'm official. Give me money. They got a wad of cash, like as if they're collecting cash. And they're like, you park here. And they're aggressively telling you to park here, park here. I'm like, you're an idiot. You think I'm stupid? I'm not going to park this ghetto house. I'm going to drive over here and pay the $15-20 or God knows what the ungodly price is and walk, and be on a lot. But these stupid people, like these, these people like from the burbs or something like that, like you or me or something like that, that don't know what the hell they're doing. They're like, okay, park here, okay, and you're parking in some freaking probably not even they're on their lawn. It's not even their house.
I know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. It is up and running, and so is our text line. If you want to text us, you can text us on the very same line. You don't have to type in DA, just text, put in the number, and then text your message. Bob from Buffalo Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Bob.
Hi, how you doing, Amy? And good to hear you're a new guest from. We must be almost neighbors because I'm in, Buffalo Grove and familiar with Wheeling.
5 Charles Court is where I used to live in Buffalo Grove. Or
say it again.
5 Charles Court, Buffalo Grove Road, in Dundee.
High School.
Okay.
BG High School. With regards to the panhandlers, the homeless, or the migrants or whatever, panhandling for money. Decades ago, I used to get up early Saturday morning, drive into work, probably 6:30 in the morning, and get my breakfast at the Rock and Roll McDonald's. I'd get in my car, and this guy would come up to me and says, "Can you give me some money? I need some money to get back to Buffalo Grove." I go, you need a train ride to get out to Buffalo Grove? Yeah, I need some money. I go, how does he know I live in Buffalo Grove? Yeah, he says, well, I see you at the gas station.
Oh, wow.
I work at the gas station. And I go, how does he know that? I go, so I hit him with a trick question. Well, which gas station was it? And he hits the wrong one. And then I realized what the issue was. He read my license sticker or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you had, so he knew I was from Buffalo Grove. But and then also for you, Amy, when you come in to see your sister, do you ever see the panhandlers at 53 in Dundee?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Those are.
You got those now there?
Oh yeah.
Holy.
And then
crap.
they leave for certain things like the DNC. When that came to town, they left a week before, and then came back right afterwards. But a lot of them are Northern European traveling groups. They're not refugees. They just hold up signs that say they are. So
why is that crap playing? If I'm not mistaken, that's Arlington Heights, right?
Yeah.
Why is that crap? Why is that crap playing in Arlington Heights?
Oh, our town and the suburbs have gone to hell in a handbag. We have homeless people living all along the lakefront now, not just under the viaducts on the way to the lake. It's everywhere. It's sick. And they defecate out in the open. It's sickening.
Nothing like sitting at a stoplight and seeing that.
No.
But there's I'm in one of the burbs in Dallas, and the some of the ones that are more liberal with the BLM kneeling chiefs versus where I'm at. That crap doesn't play where I'm at, and it's literally
Really?
go to another suburb over. You go to where Dallas ends, on the other side of the street is Richardson, which is by where I'm at. There are not homeless people. They're not bums. They're not tent cities. Same crap that you're talking about. It's an enforcement choice. That's all it is.
I know. We have tent cities everywhere.
Ugh.
In places you wouldn't expect. Like Lakeshore Drive and Irving Park Road. That man will not move. And now he's invited his friends. And they're not moving. So then they gave him a garbage can. And then they gave him a recycling bin. And then they gave him a porta potty.
His own little city.
Yeah, their own little place.
Yeah.
So. And right across the street was a migrant shelter. So how could you tell the Americans, who one of them's a vet, to leave when you're housing illegals and giving them clothes, cars, food, health care, education? And it's just a strange dichotomy going on.
Can we start taxing the bums?
No.
If they're going to sit there and live there, hey, you got to pay your taxes. It's Chicago.
No,
it's
I
Cook
don't
County.
think that there's any taxes. No taxation for them.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Do you agree that the educational system is broken? The cycle of content conveyance and consumption is failing our children. They are listless, bored, and uninspired. I am Peter Serby, the founder and director of the Riverside Club for Adventure and Imagination, and author of the new book, Casting Fire, a guide to the adventure and imagination of boyhood. The true purpose of education should be to spark a child's curiosity and wonder, to light a fire of creativity, to illuminate a path to find gift and calling. A decade ago, I founded Riverside to rekindle a love of learning in our youth. Our innovative vision immerses boys and girls ages 8 to 14 in epic stories, ignites in them a passion for adventuring in the great outdoors, teaches them the art of craftsmanship, and facilitates strong friendships rooted in faith. Join us on our educational journey. Visit ourside.org to learn more about our imaginative programs and summer camps. And check out my new book, Casting Fire, on Amazon. That's ourside.org.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-919-1441. 800-919-1441. 800-919-1441.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, protesters out in full force. It was called the Hands Off. Hands Off protests around the country. There was about 1,200, 1,300. There was one in Arlington Heights. There was one in Elgin. There was one in Lisle. It wasn't just big cities. A huge one in Chicago. And I mentioned I was in Iowa City. I got stuck in one, Chris. I was just trying to boutique shop or whatever you call it.
Yes. This is why you were shopping?
Yes, trying to get out of the store.
This is a pleasant shopping environment.
And then, yeah, whatever. It was a bunch of old people, a bunch of hippies. I didn't see any students. I saw one kid who I'm sure was dragged there by their parents, but it was mostly old white men and women.
Yes.
And they got bused there because Iowa City is a tiny town, and I saw people get off buses because there was absolutely no parking because, again, I told you it was Parents' Weekend for every sorority and fraternity, and the parking was already at a maximum level. So they were getting bussed in. One person said they got a meal. They were handed signs, or you can make your own sign. And what did they accomplish? When they're walking back, I said, how was your rally? And he said it was fine. I said, well, what did you accomplish? He's like, well, we were sending a message
They're angry
to Washington.
Yeah,
like,
right.
About what? They're like, the hands off, no more, don't deport illegals anymore. Hands off, government reduction in spending. Hands off, letting people go in federal government positions. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And hands off our Department of Ed.
It's definitely terrifying to think that children are going to grow up without a Department of Education.
Oh, my.
That was the funniest. I laughed out loud when I heard that. I'm like, this is freaking great. They have spent. They've been there for what? They spent, was it $30 trillion or something? $30 billion or something? I don't know what. And I think it's three. I don't know what.
Total is $7 trillion.
Thank you. I thought it was $3 trillion. Okay, and so since their inception, and student scores have plummeted. And we've gone from like one of the top 3, I think, in the world to like the 34th, at least in math and other things. And this clown's afraid of not having the failure that is the Department of Education that was created out of whole cloth from Jimmy Carter. She's afraid of that going away? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. It was just in D.C., there's this kid named Nick Shirley. And he was trying to, see who's here, what are they, why are you here? Because a lot of kids and adults did not know why they were there. They had no idea. One kid was holding a sign that Trump's a fascist.
So what makes Trump a fascist? What makes Trump a fascist?
Okay, I heard enough of that. But this one kid, Nick Shirley, they were trying to, a guy with a COVID mask on. This isn't about COVID. It's about covering your identity. And the neon vest, acting like he's security there.
Yeah.
Chasing Nick Shirley around. It was so embarrassing. And then he loses it. Like he's out of his mind nuts.
Don't touch me!
Whoa.
Don't touch me!
That's the security guy.
You touch me!
Allegedly.
Don't touch me!
You want some money? He's touching
Can we
him.
get someone around these people, please?
So they wanted to
Easy.
Elbows!
Easy.
detain him.
No. Easy.
You're not here to
Wait.
I'd like to have him detained.
Whoa. What? Get the police. What did I do?
Don't feed the trolls. No. Get elbows around.
Elbows around.
That's how they rope
Holy
him
cow.
in.
Don't let me go.
How would they handle Hamas if they were like dealing with Hamas?
Elbows.
Man, we are peaceful.
And he was just trying to interview people, and this guy said, you have to ask permission before you shoot video of anyone. And he said, no, I don't. I'm in a public space. I don't have to ask anybody anything. And so then he was harassing him, and he was chasing him around the event the entire time. And then when he was trying to interview somebody, then they would put elbows and make a circle around him. I mean, these people, the Democrats are nuts, and this is not a good look for the Democratic Party. But keep doing it, please.
There's a company, a guy that geofenced everything, and these organizers are all the same people from like 9 Kamala rallies. All these statistics, bing, bing, bing. They have GPS location data and everything.
Yep, 6 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Another big sell-off looms in the stock market. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News Dow futures down almost 800 points after the Dow lost almost 4,000 last Thursday and Friday. And the worry about President Trump's new tariffs on almost all imports is worldwide. Markets are plunging overseas, almost 8% overnight in Japan, 13% in Hong Kong.
Trump expressing uncertainty about today's market performance, but maintained that the tariffs will help the United States.
Fox's Brooks Singman.
The administration is open to tariff negotiations with worldwide leaders, and the president says he's already spoken with some who are urging him to lower some of those tariffs.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world. They're dying to make a deal, but I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
Now, a few minutes ago, the president posted on Truth Social, there is no inflation. Oil and food prices are down, and so are interest rates. Now, Democrats say that what's happening with the Trump policy is reckless, and they predict the tariffs will cause inflation. Senator Chris Coons tells Fox News Sunday
they're going to pay more for fruits and vegetables, gas, cars, furniture, clothing. It's going to make America less affordable, not more affordable.
Now back to President Trump. He talked to reporters on Air Force One flying back to Washington last night. He'll meet today at the White House with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
As Israel and Hamas keep waging war.
About 10 projectiles flew from Gaza towards Israel, the largest Hamas rocket barrage since fighting resumed last month. Roughly half were intercepted, with some damage to buildings. One man was lightly hurt. In response, the Israeli military took out the rocket launchers, first ordering Palestinians to evacuate several neighborhoods in central Gaza.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. More than 30 Palestinians were killed in a flooding disaster in parts of the south from storms blamed for now at least 19 deaths. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says the power of the U.S. needs to be reset. Appearing on CBS's Face the Nation, Lutnick says the new global tariffs put in place by the Trump administration were to address a national security issue.
If we had a war and we can't build a ship, we can't fly a plane, we can't build our own planes, we don't have our own semiconductors, this is what the president is here to fix for America.
The Commerce Secretary said if things kept going how they were, eventually the rest of the world would have owned the U.S. Lutnick says the tariffs will stay in place as the president seeks to reset global trade. A trial begins today for State Senator Emil Jones III. The Chicago Democrat faces federal bribery charges accusing him of taking money from a red light camera company executive to kill legislation requiring traffic studies for automated camera systems. He's also accused of lying to federal agents on the matter. This is the first case from the sweeping federal investigation centered on red light cameras installed by Safe Speed to go before a jury. Jones is the son of former Illinois Senate President Emil Jones Jr. A group of children are in Chicago to be treated after being injured in the war in Gaza. Several children arrived in the city yesterday with the help of local nonprofit Heal Palestine. The children have suffered life-altering injuries in Gaza, and they're in need of urgent medical care that isn't available in their homeland. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to.
We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of,
Did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center on the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 9 minutes. Outbound about 14 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. On the outbound side, 15 minutes. There's an accident off on the right shoulder, right around First Avenue. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 17 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. Traffic is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy and breezy, couple of snow showers around today. High 42, clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 25, and then partly sunny, chilly tomorrow, the high 43. A bit of snow and rain at times on Wednesday morning, little or no accumulation, the high 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good Monday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Chris Kroc sitting in for Dan Proft. He is a radio professional out of Dallas, Texas, and but from Wheeling and Buffalo Grove and from the area. So we're grateful to have you here. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So real quick before we move on to tariffs, because that's all everybody was talking about, a close eye on the markets. And later on in the program, we're going to have Richard Porter is going to be here to talk about Trump's different angle to the tariff strategy, which has been fascinating. Real quick, the hands-off protest, though. A lot of people had this on their signs, 8647. Do you know what that means?
Yes, 86 somebody means to kill him.
Right, dispose of or kill, and 47 refers to?
Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, so there was one woman carrying a bloodied, severed head of Donald Trump at the hands-off rally in Omaha, Nebraska.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I know. Where's Kathy Griffin? Mostly peaceful protests in Redmond, Oregon, where protesters were openly calling 8647, chanting that. And then this is the best. So there was one in, of course, Minnesota and one in St. Paul and Minneapolis. A lady standing next to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison with a sign that on it said 8647. I mean, this is dangerously close to calling for violence, especially after he's had 2 assassination attempts and has survived both.
Keith Ellison not seeing that allegedly reminds me of Byron Cicho Lopez saying, "I did not see a flag burnt while I was at the protest."
While the flag was burning.
As I was stepping
over
stepping around.
Or in Kenosha when the CNN reporter said, and everything's burning behind them. It's been mostly peaceful protests tonight.
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Somebody was shot, and then so many businesses burned, and they still are in the process of rebuilding. So just wanted to take care of that. All right, Chris, have you checked your 401k lately?
Well, I looked at it briefly for a second, but only because everybody else is. But no. And I heard you talking about this on Friday with Dan. And I understand, but for me, I'm nowhere near retirement at all. So I'm not worried about it because this is not going to be the situation in a month or a year, et cetera. One of the former Commerce Secretary, something of that nature under the Bush administration, he was saying he expects most of these to be rolled back. Here, this is former George W. Bush Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez. I would assume this will not be in place in a month or 2 months, definitely not in the back of the half year, so I'm in the camp that this is the beginning of a big negotiation. It's not only about bringing production back, but it's also about market access. So I would agree with him, and I'm not worried at all.
I get it, but there's two messages right now coming from the White House. This is their problem. The White House, they have to get their communications in order. So is this about bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff revenue, or a negotiation ploy to bring tariffs down to zero? Because Elon Musk and Navarro pretty much got into it yesterday. Navarro was saying, just wait, be patient. We can't be robbed anymore.
The reality here is that institutionally, the international trade system is designed to cheat us. So President Trump says no more, no mas, ain't happening on his watch.
But then Elon Musk came out later and he said that he wants, listen to himself, but he wants to basically negotiate with Europe so we can get rid of tariffs altogether.
I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line. Well, Peter Navarro fought back after he heard that from Elon Musk because that's not the plan.
This is not a negotiation. This is a national emergency based on a trade deficit that's gotten out of control because of cheating. We're always willing to listen. Don't say you want to lower their tariffs and be done with it. It's the non-tariff cheating. Stop manipulating your currency. Stop dumping stuff in.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So this seems like a hot mess that's coming out of the White House right now.
Well, yeah, it kind of is, but I'm not panicked or worried at all.
Really?
There's some good news. Yeah, no, first of all, if I'm close to retirement, maybe I'd panic, but wait a minute. I love how it was described over the weekend. I can't remember who it was that said it, but people, some of these folks that are like panicking and they're having issues with their retirement stuff, your retirement shouldn't be anything that's in anything that's high risk or moderate risk. Should it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not at that stage of my life, but you want things that are stable. So if you are at the age of retirement or close to it, you should be protected in my humble opinion. I'm not trying to rip people if you're going through some horrible stuff. I understand that. But if you're like you and me, we're not close to retirement. So for me personally, I'm fine. And I think this is a tactic. I don't expect this to go on in 6 months or a year. I like what billionaire liberal Democrat Bill Ackman, who ousted the Harvard professor for not protecting our Jewish brothers and sisters at Harvard, he said, if I were you, I'd get on the phone now and negotiate with them. And you don't have time to read The Art of the Deal, which you'll sell out on Amazon today, he said. Pick up the phone and call him and make deals, because the sooner you do it, the better you're going to be based on what he said, what The Art of the Deal says. Eric Trump said it recently. But look at this in China going on this morning, because you don't know what's going to happen with this, right? Which is part of who Trump is, right? Unpredictable. And I'm not trying to say he's a mad genius all the time and that whatever he does is gold. I'm not, okay? But look at this right now. Here we go. From Unusual Whales, a great account I follow on financial stuff, etc. Holy S word. Over 2,000 mainland listed companies in China, of course, have hit limit down in China. And China's most active CSI 1000 stock index futures is now down 10%, hitting the limit down. What is limit down? I did not know what it was. It's the decline of the price futures contract or stock large enough to trigger trading restrictions under exchange rules, limits of speed of market price movements up or down. They're trying to protect the market in China. Quote, another thing from Unusual Whales this morning, Chinese government has started conducting stock market stabilizing operations. Bring them those bleeps to heel. Because they hate us, they're owning us, they're dominating us in so many ways. I'll get into on the shrimping and our ships and our navies. It's a freaking disgrace.
Well, even Pensols, President Trump, he spoke yesterday and he said he has no interest in negotiating with other countries over the new tariffs unless they're willing to fix the deficit problem, and starting with China.
We have $1 trillion trade deficit with China.
hundreds of billions of dollars a year we lose with China. And unless we solve that problem, I'm not going to make a deal. Now, I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus. We have a tremendous deficit problem with China. They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year. I think it's like $1.1 trillion. And I want that solved. And no other president's taken it on. I had to take it on the last time, and then we had a rigged election. No other president's taken it on. And so China is, they say the market's spoken. China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right. They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus, and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
Mr. President.
And we're talking about $1 trillion. You know that, right? We're not going to lose $1 trillion for the privilege of buying pencils from China.
I mean, this is what I want. I want movement of the tax bill to offset the pain of tariffs. And the Senate started that on Friday night, called the 5-yard line. They started that process. But on the tariffs, I want to see the agreements with Israel, Vietnam, and India. I'd like to see the framework for those agreements and then explain it to the American people how this works. Because resetting global trade is not going to be a quick fix, folks.
No.
This is going to take a year to maybe 2 years, and we're going to be in full midterm mode in a year from now.
I think he's gonna take care of business on most of these folks within a month to max, and then I think the laggards are going to pay a heavy price. Look at this, how much they've been screwing us from U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy and Fox News kind of combined the shrimp industry in Louisiana. This is where you and I want our shrimp from, right? Et cetera,
yeah.
All that. It's been squeezed out for years by countries like China, India, and, of course, Vietnam. 45% shrimp prices down. 45% of our shrimp prices are down in 2 years, while the imports are way up. In 1999, we imported 731 million pounds. 2014, 1.2 billion, and then now last year 1.6 billion. So we've more than doubled our imports of shrimp while we're screwing Bubba Gump on the bayou, if you will.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. There was some good news. I mean, a little bit. Where's his name? I can't. Kevin Hassett. Hassett. He came out and said, the negotiation process is beginning with dozens of countries.
I got a report from the USTR last night that more than 50 countries have reached out to the president to begin a negotiation. But they're doing that because they understand that they bear a lot of the tariff. And so I don't think that you're going to see a big effect on the consumer in the U.S. because I do think that the reason why we have a persistent long-run trade deficit is these people have very inelastic supply. They've been dumping goods into the country in order to create jobs, say, in China.
What say you? 312-642-5600. Let's go to Corey in Woodlawn. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Amy. Good morning, sir. We've given away the house for years. I mean, we got $37 trillion in massive debt, and these individuals are marching so that we can continue to keep spending. No one's looking at the producer price index. Everyone's focusing on the consumer price index. We need to bring production back. Before long, we will forget how to do production.
Yes.
Because production keeps advancing. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it, Corey. Let's go to Robert in Bloomingdale. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Good morning. We've had falling prices at Walmart for the last 20 years, and there's a reason. We export our dollars. That's our inflation. And we import their deflation, their products. If we go the other way, we're going to have rising prices for 10 years or more. It's that simple. There's a price to pay for production. It's called sweat and labor.
So we should keep funding the Chinese military so they can.
No, we should not. No, we should not. No, we should not. This should be very targeted. This should be very targeted. We shouldn't be going after India. We should not do this to our friends. The Chinese military is a different story.
For a long time, we have been buying influence and friends by giving them a much better deal, but Trump is blowing all that up so that he can do it on the righteous ways of doing it. Like, you're a friend, you're an ally, this and that, but no more taking advantage of us. And if you hold on, brother, if you enter a relationship that was already if you enter a relationship, you're now the new president, and we've been taken advantage of for 20 years. We should just keep bending over.
Well, here's the thing. This relationship's been growing for 20 years. Now, hurting our most weakest people, it's not going to be solved in a year or two. This is a 10-year project. In the meantime, our poorest people are going to suffer the most. Welfare is going to explode because prices are going to explode. This is not going to take 6 months or a year. This is going to take 10 years.
I strongly disagree if it's with our allies. Allies are different.
Exactly. And we're doing this to all our allies.
No. Our allies will come to the table. Our allies are more likely to come to the table, and we're more likely to work with them than adversaries. The adversaries are the ones that are going to take it on.
It's called the bait and switch. Nobody talk about Greenland November 4th. Nobody. Now, November 5th, we're going to take over Greenland. It's called bait and switch, my friend.
You know why we're worried about Greenland? There's 8 or 9 Russian bases in that area.
That's
the Chinese
right. Why didn't we talk about it November 4th? Why didn't we talk about it November 4th?
You saying Trump didn't mention Greenland before November 4th? He did.
He did.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
All right. Thanks, Robert.
He didn't mention Canada.
Yes, he did. Thank you.
First state.
That's troll. He's trolling on that one.
We don't want Canada. We would never be anything but a Democrat state or country.
Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Amy, and good morning to your guest host there, Chris. Couple points here, Amy. Well, for one, should set your mind a little bit easy because I remember you were mentioning about the 401ks even last week in that. And this is a bit different from your last call is just kind of like a little bit too afraid of all kinds of things. And basically, he's one of those guys that was sitting at the card table. He'd be down a little bit, and he basically, leaving the table and wouldn't be able to bear the strain. But because here's why. This has a very good possibility of a V recovery because the companies are all still strong. They're just as strong as they were going in. They're going to get stronger with Trump's plans and all that. And so this negotiation is going on with regard to the tariffs in it. It's absolutely necessary. Somebody had to do it. Trump's the adult in the room. He's basically really doing a good thing for our country in that. And with regard to our 401ks and that, those things are going to come roaring back.
Yes.
I know, but it takes a while. I mean, I'm finally recovering from Obama in 2008.
This won't take that long. The reason this won't take so long is because of all the damage that Obama and and that whole regime did to come and the regulation and all that. The thing that's different now, Trump's going to do all the things just the opposite of what Obama regime would do. He's already got a lot of regulations out of the way, and that there's a lot of companies that are going to come roaring back and actually their profits.
But it's going to take it. All right, thanks, Craig, for your phone
People
call.
want a microwave change. Put it in the microwave, out in 30 seconds, it's done. That's not possible.
Yeah, well, I know the point of all of this too is not only we're going to pay this in tariffs, we want reciprocal tariffs, but also to bring manufacturing back to America.
Right.
But that doesn't happen. That's going to take years.
True. I mean, there's a lot of mothballed factories they're talking about in Detroit and some other factories in the Rust Belt. And there's some stuff and it's the Rust Belt because we're not using the factories, which is sad and wrong. COVID did so much for us. It showed us how horrible teachers and school districts are with what they teach and what they don't teach, which is most the important things. But it also showed us what the Chinese control and own and how we are their you-know-whats. And it's time we end that.
They destroyed a whole generation. They made them stupid. They got them addicted to phones, addicted to screens. Their TikTok's different than our TikTok. Our TikTok is like a striptease almost with girls like scantily clad and doing dances. And they're
Chinese
doing
malware app.
But their TikTok, they don't allow that in China.
Right, it's math and reading.
It's math and reading and, literature. It's just completely different. So, they're winning on that front. John and Huntley, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Amy. Listened to you ever since back in the days with John Howell. But anyways, I just want to say that the Trump administration is doing a multi-pronged attack to correct multiple different issues and policies that have existed over the last 40 years. For the last 40 years, we've had a little sign on our back saying, kick me here.
Mm-hmm.
And with the tariffs and the renegotiation and the reciprocal tariffs and then the bringing back of the middle-class jobs. It's multi-pronged, and you're right. It's not going to be a quick fix. But a lot of these countries are going to realize pretty quickly, within weeks, it's not to their advantage to hold out. So once all those countries start to build up and the momentum starts to build, you're going to see some of these other large players saying, okay, the dominoes are falling way too fast. We got no leg to stand on, and we're going to have to actually be fair with our fair trade. So love your show. Listen to you forever. God bless you. Carry on.
All right. Thanks, John, for the phone call. Quickly, let's get in. Or did you want to say something, Chris?
Yeah, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announcing today he understands the rationale behind Trump's tariffs. The world has changed. Globalization is over. We're now in a new era. We've got to demonstrate our approach. We can provide answers for people in every part of the country. There's many other things, but that's a little tidbit for now.
All right. Let's go to Kip in Stillman Valley. Good morning, Kip.
Yeah, good morning. Pretty much everybody's said what I was going to say, but the one thing that we need to be clear on is what exactly is going on. It came out of the Senate late Friday. Now it goes back to the House. Didn't the House already do it and send it to the Senate? Because we got to get the Trump tax cuts and keep them and have them permanent. But isn't that where we're at? I mean, you guys need to look into that or have somebody on it, because what we're being told is nothing but lies. It's not what they're saying. So you guys have a great one. Thanks.
These are not tax cuts for billionaires. Look at this: 16 to 26% tax cut for people earning $15,000 to $50,000 a year. If you're between $50,000 and $100,000, 70% of them get a tax break. If you are about 15%, it says of 15 to 70% tax break. For 100,000 to 500,000, between 11 and 13%, and anybody over 500, not exceeding 9%.
Oh, that's not the signs that I read at the
for billionaires
at the hands-off protest. All I said was tax cuts for billionaires.
Yeah.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Zeke, self-employed, called to refinance his $1 million home after being rejected by 3 lenders. Zeke contacted me after hearing me explain how I helped another self-employed listener who was also rejected due to lack of income. I helped Zeke secure an $800,000 cash-out refinance using the 12-month average of Zeke's business bank statements. Let's review. Zeke called to refinance his home after being rejected by 3 lenders, and we helped Zeke refinance using the deposits into his business bank statements. If you're self-employed and want to work with mortgage professionals who understand self-employed borrowers, call Team Hochberg at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of self-employed listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 and that website you love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
The fight against abortion in Illinois has never been more important than it is right now. Thanks to our elected officials, Illinois has become an abortion tourism destination. The number of abortions in our state continues to grow, despite the fact that crisis pregnancy centers outnumber abortion clinics almost 3 to 1. Now, thanks to a new effort by Caring Network, it's possible to reach abortion-minded women, to provide peace of mind and security to help them choose life. This new Reach Her First initiative seeks to provide women with the assurance and information they need before they choose an abortion. But Caring Network needs your help to reach women who are considering abortion. For a one-time gift of just $150, you can help reach 5 women and help them choose life. That's all it takes to prevent an abortion. To make that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
Hey, John. Need any help over there? Oh, hey, Chris. I'm good. Just digging some new flower beds and planting a couple shrubs.
You sure you should be doing that? You know, with your high blood pressure and all?
It's all good. I got my blood pressure under control now.
Really? New medication?
No, a superfood juice that is absolutely delicious.
A juice?
Yeah, it's 120 Life. It has 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Wow, in a juice?
Yep. So controlling my blood pressure tastes great and I feel great.
I wonder if 120 Life could fix my procrastination getting yard work done.
Not sure about that, but it sure helped me.
Certainly has. You and your yard look great.
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a 5th-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, how to stop teen takeovers. We'll get the latest with Alderman Hopkins. But now, let's head into that newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says that the future is bright because of the action taken by the White House this week. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, Rollins says the new global tariffs put in place by President Trump are meant to rebuild the American economy and boost the U.S.-made goods.
So I think we'll see in short order really positive outcome from this. We already have 50 countries that have come to the table over the last few days, over the last weeks.
Rollins says that there's always going to be uncertainty, but she believes in Trump's resilience and added in that American farmers will come out on top. Actor Jay North, known for playing Dennis in Dennis the Menace, the 1960s sitcom, has died at age 73. North had been fighting cancer for a number of years. He passed away at his home in Florida on Sunday. A Chicago man is charged in a deadly shooting in Oak Park. Police say Corey Gates was found early Friday in the 600 block of South Boulevard. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. 6 suspects were taken into custody, 5 of them being released without charges. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A Check the Roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Spring is in the air, and that means it's time to check the starting lineup. Leading off for AM 560 every morning at 5, it's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson, followed at 9 by Mike Gallagher. Moving up in the lineup, it's Charlie Kirk, now heard at 11. Then at 2, it's 2 full hours of Hugh Hewitt, followed by Sean Thompson at 4, Seculo at 7, and rounding out the lineup, Larry Elder at 8. Top to bottom, the best lineup in Chicago radio is right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Virago's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Virago also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myvirago.com, that's myvirogo.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Living with chronic joint pain is like trying to get comfortable on a cactus sofa. Ouch! Nothing feels good. And forget trying to do the things you enjoy this spring, like golfing, hiking, tennis. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I want you to know something. Dr. Ashley Caravelli and the medical pros at QC Kinetics here in Chicago are on the case. I spoke to my friend in Utah who had regenerative medicine with QC Kinetics, and now she does not need that right hip replacement. Seriously, listen up. If you have joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, back, with QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you back your life without surgery, without drugs, and without any downtime. If you're curious if you're a candidate for these treatments, no problem. The consultation is free with appointments on Saturdays. Now's the best time to get started. Call QC Kinetics at 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics.
Have you seen our energy bill? You'd think Elon used our furnace to power his rocket ships.
Very funny, babe. That furnace is 20 years old and probably hasn't been cleaned in 10.
I'll have Air Right Heating and Cooling check it out. They've seen it all. Plus, there's still time to take advantage of federal rebates. They even give AM 560 listeners $56 off any service.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 9 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 13 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 17 minutes. Outbound, it's about 15 minutes. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. The Ego Power Plus Savings event is on at Lowe's right now. Get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery with purchase of a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower kit only at Lowe's. They help you save. Offer valid through April 16th. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now, quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Breezy, cloudy, couple of snow showers today. High 42. Clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight with a low 25. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high 43. Clouds and a bit of snow and rain at times in the morning on Wednesday. Little or no accumulation, the high Wednesday 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good Monday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Chris Kroc in for Dan Propp this week. Dan is at the Masters. Oh, schwanky. I don't know if you know, but he's obsessed with golf. It's the one constant in his life. It's his desire to hit the little white ball down the fairway.
Why not just stop hitting it and just let it sit there? Why are you going after it?
No, because that's the whole purpose of golf. So he's at the Masters watching the practice round. So
fun.
Good for him. Have you ever been there?
No, I've not been to the Masters. But it's back in the day, I used to watch it so I could sleep, do an afternoon nap. To like golf. Golf.
It is very calming, isn't
tennis,
it?
Tennis, yes.
It's like very calming. And then
absolutely.
If you go on the production trailer, it's
probably all sleeping,
I mean, camera, why that dropping F-bombs. I have never seen anything. I went to my first golf tournament. Phil Mickelson was playing. Gosh, he was just straight out of ASU, and it was at Tucson National, like in the 90s. And I worked for CBS at the time in Tucson. And everything was calm and great. And then I went in the production trailer and I thought, oh my, I walked out of there like, oh, my blood pressure just went up. Holy cow. That's not what we know.
They should have that playing while you're watching the golf. That would be entertaining.
Cameron, stop it! It's just out of control screaming. It was crazy. So they would not let me roll any video of, because I was a one-man band back then.
That's great.
Wouldn't let me take any shots.
I remember that.
Oh, did you? Were you a one-man band?
In
Where?
fact, one of the stories that you picked for today was the houses where they're encouraging people to move into or come into Illinois or whatever, bribe them. It was from WGEM TV in Quincy, and I was at Western Illinois University in the mid 90s, and I would drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, chain smoke and listening to the Stones, and drive all the way out to WGEM. I did a one-man band thing, came back, edited it, and I told my wife, I called her back at Western, and I said, hit record on the VCR, and she would record my story that would air.
Oh, my goodness. That is so funny. So you were married when you were at Western?
No, I wasn't married. We were dating. We were girlfriend and boyfriend, but she was at her dorm, and I was at my dorm.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would drive to Cedar Rapids from Iowa City, and I worked at KGAN, where the news comes first. I always love the slogans that, people matter first, or we care more than they do. I mean, their slogans were just hysterical.
When I was in the Quad Cities, right out of college, KWQC TV6. TV6 cares for you.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. I should look back in my photo albums to see all the slogans for news things. But anyway, Chris Kroc is sitting in for Dan this next few days. So thank you for joining us. But in all your travels, you never made it to Market 3, did you?
No.
Like this chick did, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, can I tell you something? As you probably know, we are now market number 4 in Dallas, where I did a talk show for 15 years. So,
Wow, you guys are market 4?
Yeah. By the way, you guys.
What are we now?
This is not an exaggeration. This is total truth. We're adding 100,000 plus to the metropolitan area here per year, which means another 10 years we'll have 1 million. We will overtake Chicago as the DMA in under 20 years from right now.
Wow.
Because this is low tax, freedom. I can carry my weapon wherever the heck I want, except for a handful of places. There is when I drive home to Chicago with my family, you lose your rights slowly the closer you get to Illinois. I have reciprocity as a concealed carry holder, which you don't need to do in Texas anymore, open carry, but constitutional carry. But then when I go into Oklahoma, reciprocity. Then when I go into Missouri, for the most part, yes, reciprocity. I cross that border, and I have that gun in my car, and it's not locked up and everything out of the magazine and totally unchambered and locked in the way back, I'm going to jail. Because this state that I'm talking in right now, my hometown, it's a freaking disgrace. Sorry, but I can go forever. Sorry.
Well, and they probably would arrest you as opposed to gangbangers who are making people's life.
Yes, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, one thing, so Channel 5 is located in Streeterville, and I never, when I started back there, the Kraft building was there, and they sold it to the city of Chicago for $1, and that's where Major Accidents was out of. And then the rest was vacant land. And then they built the AMC theater, and then they built another high-rise. And I never thought in my life that fellow coworkers or former coworkers would feel scared going to or leaving work. But that's what's happening because they have these teen mobs, these meetups that are taking place. We've had 2 so far this year. Thank goodness the weather was bad this weekend, because whenever it's warm out, that's when the kids come out and play.
That's law enforcement for Chicago.
Pardon? Weather. Well,
that's it.
There's something to be said.
Not the authorities, though. That's what I'm saying,
Yes.
No.
But with more on this, because he's trying to find a solution, 2nd Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins joins us again on AM 560. Good morning, Alderman. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Amy. Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so to try and stop these teen takeovers, you're proposing an 8 p.m. curfew in Streeterville. And where it is at, because we've had curfews before. We have a 10 o'clock curfew, but why would 8 o'clock be any different?
Yeah, well, there's an argument to be made that it really won't help, and I'm not presenting it as a miracle solution, that's going to stop this from happening, but it is a relatively small step in the right direction. And I can tell you, I was out there. I was embedded with the police a couple of weeks ago when the incident happened Friday with the 300 teens taking over Streeterville. And shortly after 10 p.m., I heard the incident commander come on the radio, on the police radio, and he said, it is now past 10 p.m. We're going to start enforcing the curfew. He issued the order to the patrol officers, start enforcing the curfew. I just happened to be in front of the 7-Eleven when that order went out, and I saw a number of police officers pull up in a van, get out, and took 6 teenagers into custody immediately. And I watched the remaining group disperse because they saw what was happening. And by 10:45, the incident was over. This incident started around 7. So, again, I'm not going to claim that this curfew is, a miracle solution and it solved everything. But in that instance, it did contribute to finally ending an event that caused mayhem, chaos, violence, including one shooting incident that had been going on for 4 hours, and it helped stop it. So why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't we make this one simple change? Instead of waiting until 10 o'clock to start enforcing the curfew, let's start doing it at 8 o'clock, and it could potentially end these events earlier.
Well, here's Mayor Johnson. This was his response. And I mean, this man does not fail to surprise me on a daily basis with his ignorance and his, lack of leadership. But this is what he said about these teen takeovers.
It's not like this is happening every night, every weekend. One is too many. Just like one 15-year-old having access to a gun is too many. That's what the collective work of our city has to be a part of, is ensuring that we're creating not just accountability, but opportunities.
Did you get that? It's not like this is happening every night. It reminds me of the Tren de Agua gangs in Aurora, Colorado. Oh, they're just taking over 2 buildings. I mean, one night is too much. Don't you agree?
I do agree. In fact, the CWB Chicago website counted the number of these, large group teen takeover incidents. And, there's no clear definition for when one occurs and when one doesn't. It's kind of like it when you see it. But they went back to 2012, looked at their coverage. They documented 45 incidents like this with large numbers of teenagers taking over, violence and retail theft, other crimes being committed at the time. 45. That's a staggeringly high number. And if we don't do anything, there's going to be 45 more. I mean, it's not going to stop by itself. I think we know that. And listening to the mayor's quote, I get the sense that he immediately knew what a foolish thing that was that he said. That, it's not like it happens every night. But one is too many. That was kind of his way of trying to walk that back. But, it really is a Freudian slip, if you will. It indicates his lack of concern for this. There's so much more we could be doing if we had mayoral leadership. We don't. That can't be a coincidence. It can't be an accident. It's an intentional decision to not do the things that are necessary that can help stop these incidents.
Alderman Hopkins, Chris here. And, okay, so the mayor is attacking businesses, saying he wants them to step up. I'm seeing a Japanese fusion lounge. We're helpless. We don't know what to do. People are showing up there, and she owns a business across the street, a restaurant. They're constantly standing, causing trouble right in front of our restaurant, in front of the AMC River East 21 movie theater. Also, you got a woman who's afraid at East Illinois Street and North McClure Court. There's mobs of them. They have no regard for their lives and safety. They try to get into her building one time. Here's the question. The mayor is saying it's the business's fault, which is a freaking lie. Here's my question for you. Who is taking on the parents, which is what the root of the cause is? The mayor says, we need to find the root of the cause. I know what it is. It's called mom and dad ain't there. It's called no godlessness in the family, out of wedlock parenting. So my question to you is, since everybody's talking about the root cause of with the mayor and such, who's taking on the parents, which I view as the root cause, and why are they afraid to go after the parents?
Yeah, at this point, nobody is doing that. To answer your question, there's no movement in that direction. There is now some discussion within the state's attorney's office of potential policy where you could prosecute a parent or guardian or someone in a household that provides a minor with a firearm, with a weapon that is then used in a crime, which of course is pretty much what happened in the Highland Park 4th of July shooting, where, the gun that the shooter used was alleged to have been provided by his father, by his family. And there was no hesitation to prosecute in that case. So, there's precedent to do that, but in order to do that, and I can sympathize with the prosecutors, it's not an easy prosecution. It's not easy to prove that. Who knows what goes on in a household? Who knows which family member? It isn't even always the parents. In this case, oftentimes it's grandparents, it's aunts, or, some other responsible adult who may be the one who has the most authority over that child. How do you prove that? It isn't easy. We've never tried it, but again, the state's attorney is looking at that now, especially when it comes to illegal weapons that find their way to the streets of Streeterville in these incidents.
So why wait for a curfew, though? Can't you pick them up for disorderly conduct?
Yes, you can. And that's, another tool to make arrests when you could pick them up for jaywalking. There's a variety of criminal acts that take place during these large group incidents, especially when they spiral out of control. The problem there is the police are reluctant to do it. First of all, you're arresting a juvenile, so, pretty much nothing's going to come of it anyway. And the amount of paperwork and processing time and everything that goes into that, now you've taken at least one, oftentimes two, especially if it's a female you're picking up. You're taking those two police officers off the street. You're taking them out of the situation where they are desperately needed because we're vastly outnumbered when these incidents happen. So there's a real downside to making an actual arrest. The curfew situation is not an arrest. We're not arresting them. We're not fingerprinting them. We're not mugshotting them. We're simply taking them into protective custody, which you could argue is as much for their safety as anything, since, they're the ones getting shot when the bullets start flying in these crowds. So we take them to the police station. We hold them there until a responsible adult who is responsible for them comes and gets them. And that's it. They're released. There's no follow-up. They don't have to come to court. There's no charges. It just ends the situation. So it's easier. It's easier for them and it's easier for us. And the goal is to stop these events once they start to gain momentum. And it's much easier to do that when you can have a more efficient process of pulling them off the streets and out of a volatile situation.
Alderman Hopkins, I wanted to ask you about this too. Looking at the mayor's, it just floored me. And of course, it's classic him when he said, there are investments the city can make, and there are things I know that the business community, quote, they want to do more. We need them to do more. Is it the business's job in your district, in Streeterville, is it the business's job to handle these freaking out-of-control kids who were raised by parents who don't take care of their kids and give them discipline?
No, there's very little that the businesses can do, especially when these situations start to happen. Some of them actually have taken to locking their doors. The local residential buildings, they've now trained all their door staff that they go into lockdown. When they see it happening, they shut the doors, they lock down, they notify their residents. Chaos on the streets again, folks. Stay home. And the businesses you mentioned, the Japanese restaurant that was interviewed in the article. They're in a precarious situation because they're right in the heart of it. They've got customers. They've got people in their restaurant when this happens. So what do?
And they need to lock the customers out.
Well,
right?
Actually,
they lock them in.
Okay.
We heard from a woman who was locked in. She called my office the next morning to tell me she got locked in a convenience store on Illinois Street because there was mayhem outside. Several teenagers were trying to get in. The manager basically kicked them out, and they stood on the sidewalk and got some friends to join them and threatened violence to the manager, basically saying they're going to kill him if they get back in. And they were trying to break into the locked door. The customers in this restaurant had to take shelter, hiding, cowering behind the shelves, waiting in terror to see if these armed individuals were going to successfully break down the door and potentially kill the manager, as they were threatening to do. So you want to tell that business it's their fault? What are they supposed to do? Many of them have hired security, but in the incident in question, I watched the 7-Eleven get robbed by about 20 kids that went in. And, the security guard, who really looked like he was, he was past retirement age, He's just there for a part-time job. Now he's got 20 strong young males robbing the 7-Eleven of potato chips and soft drinks and everything else. He just basically put his hands up and walked away. He's like, I'm making $10 an hour here. I'm not going to risk my life because you're stealing a bag of Cheetos. So there was nothing that a security guard could do. And we told the businesses, well, you better hire security. So they do, and that's what comes of it. No. The answer is no, it's not the business's responsibility. It's the municipal government, it's the police, it's law enforcement.
Well, in 2022, then Mayor Lightfoot, she enacted a 6 p.m. curfew at the Bean at Grant Park. So minors have to be accompanied by an adult on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting at 6 p.m. And Mayor Johnson doesn't want to do that for Streeterville. And it's proven to work because there haven't been any, teen meetups or shootings outside of the Bean. So what other aldermen are backing you for this?
We'll find out, Amy. I'm calling for a vote. I've certainly had some of my colleagues have called me to tell me they are fully supportive of my efforts. They're going to be with me. And others have not. I think either way, it's going to be a close vote. We'll have to see. Wish me luck. It's a controversial topic, and if you saw the Tribune story from yesterday, one of my colleagues who represents the area around 31st Street Beach talked about some of the steps he has taken to stop this from happening, which it has. There's been shootings at 31st Street Beach in recent years. There's been large group incidents. You mentioned the weather being a factor, Amy. You're exactly right. On a hot summer night, 31st Street Beach was a powder keg the last couple of years. Horrible. So he hired additional security, a private security firm to come out there and supplement the police and the Park District staff. They did a perimeter barrier, basically, so that, to limit the way you could get in and out of 31st Street Beach, mandatory bag checks and ID checks. They took all these steps, and it seems to have worked. And yet he's opposed to my curfew. So I'm like, wait a minute. You were allowed to do some things in your ward to help stop it, and you're not going to support me to do the things I need in my ward. So
when are you guys taking a vote? When is this?
It'll be at the next city council meeting a week from Wednesday.
Okay. And real quickly, Inn of Chicago that was housing illegals or migrants, whatever you want to call them. What's the latest on that? Is it still open? Has it been shut down?
No, it's currently mothballed. It's in mothball status. I'm adamantly opposed to it being reopened to anything other than what it was, which was just a traditional affordable hotel. Yeah, it was an affordable hotel close to Michigan Avenue, and it served a nice purpose. I'd like to see it go back to there, but we're not sure what the owner wants to do. He made an obscene amount of money renting it to the city for this purpose. And we hope that never happens again. So for right now, it's just unused.
Okay. All right. Alderman Hopkins, Alderman of the 2nd Ward, thank you so much for joining us. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, the latest on Trump's tariffs and what it means for the market. But first, Trump's red line for Iran. We'll discuss with Stephen Bucci. Today, we're going to have partly sunny skies, a high in the upper 40s. It's now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The selling continues at stock markets around the world. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Down across Europe and in Asia, 13% plunge in Hong Kong's market overnight, while on Wall Street, Dow futures are down more than 800 points after nearly 4,000-point loss the past 2 trading days on concern about President Trump's new tariffs on almost all imports. But Fox's Peter Doocy reports from the White House.
And we are not sensing any squishiness on the tariffs from White House officials. They can see the corner of the screen. They know that market futures are dropping all around the world. But this is going in the bucket of short-term pain that they told us they thought was going to come with something worth it for a bigger long-term benefit.
When they look at the fact that we have $1 billion trade deficit, when you look at the trade.
Now, the president on Air Force One last night, this morning, he posted on Truth Social there's $1 billion per country trade deficit, $1 trillion with China. And he said there's no inflation. Oil and food prices are down, and so are interest rates. Now, today, the president will host Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House.
The two are expected to talk about tariffs. Netanyahu will likely try to decrease the 17% tariff the president has imposed on Israel. Before the president made his announcement last week, Israel dropped its tariffs on U.S. goods. The president and Netanyahu are also expected to talk about the hostages, Gaza, and Iran.
And speaking of Gaza, there was another round of deadly Israeli airstrikes after Hamas launched a rocket barrage into Israel. Days of storms that hit the south, doing a lot of damage, and flooding areas from Arkansas to Tennessee to Indiana are also blamed for at least 19 deaths. And in West Texas, a second measles death. Another child not vaccinated. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. went there urging people to get the vaccine.
The death comes amid a surging outbreak. Over 600 cases have been reported nationwide since January. Nearly 500 of those were in Texas alone. Kennedy posting on social media that he is working to control that outbreak.
Ashley Strohmeyer, America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The public feud between Elon Musk and top Trump administration trade advisor Peter Navarro shows no signs of stopping.
Elon, he's got X, he's got a big microphone. We don't mind him saying whatever he wants.
Musk blasted Navarro on a very public stage, posting that new tariffs are a big mistake for America. Navarro made the rounds on Sunday talk shows, trying to explain why the tariffs are a good thing. Musk has been a huge supporter of Trump, but states publicly that this tariff plan is a huge mistake. Over 1 million people took part in anti-Trump protests Saturday. Rallies were held in all 50 states as well as around the world in response to the Trump administration's actions. Organizers of hands-off protests took aim at Elon Musk, saying that they have demands to end the billionaire's takeover and rampant corruption of the Trump administration and the slashing of federal funds for Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and other programs that working people rely on, and end the attack on illegals, trans people, and other communities. One person is dead following a crash on the Dan Ryan Expressway on the south side. State police say the multi-vehicle wreck happened early yesterday on I-94 at 87th Street. A woman was killed in the crash, which remains under investigation. 2 men are accused of assaulting and robbing a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier in Chicago in 2022. A federal grand jury indicted Kyler Reese and Sean Allen on charges of conspiracy, robbery of a mail carrier, and brandishing a firearm during a crime of violence in November of the 2022 incident. Prosecutors say the pair pulled up to the stolen vehicle before Reese pulled a gun at the mail carrier and demanded the carrier's USPS keys and mail bag. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your home look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors this spring. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
there's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Men, are you over 40? Are you struggling with low energy? Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Hey, it's Dan Proft. I want to get you started today. Visit one of Low T Center's conveniently located clinics and get back to feeling your best. This April only, your consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you, and it's covered by most major insurance. Get treated at one of their centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish.
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 20 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. Inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 23 minutes. Outbound, about 21 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 23 minutes. Outbound, 23 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lake Shore Drive, 21 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes. Traffic's a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy and breezy, couple of snow showers around today. High 42, clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight, though 25, and then partly sunny, chilly tomorrow, the high 43. A bit of snow and rain at times on Wednesday morning, little or no accumulation, the high 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good Monday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft this week. Good morning, Chris. How you doing? Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. I'm doing well, thanks.
He's here from Dallas, but grew up in the area. So, you've been in radio for how many years? 20 plus?
Since graduating, actually before graduating. So like summer of '95, interned at WABC Talk Radio, which used to be my sister station here in Dallas. NWS in Chicago, which has fallen off a cliff several years ago.
Yes, we don't say that name. We just say the station up the dial.
Well, it's not worried. They don't even show up on any, but nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so Trump's red line for Iran. President Trump spoke yesterday on Air Force One while he was returning from Mar-a-Lago back to the White House. Oh, my gosh, he was golfing on Saturday and Sunday. How could he? While people were losing tens of thousands of dollars in their 401k. But he talked about Iran and a direct deal and what the red line is for them.
I think it's better if we have direct talks. I think it goes faster and you understand the other side a lot better than if you go through intermediaries. I think they're concerned. I think they feel vulnerable, and I don't want them to feel that way. And I think they want to meet.
He wants to make sure that Iran does not make a nuclear weapon. He sent the Supreme Leader a letter. But what was in it? With that and much more, let's welcome back to the program Stephen Bucci. He served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, as a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Quite the resume. Stephen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Amy. It's good to be back on the show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Trump's red line for Iran and the letter that he sent to the Supreme Leader, what was he offering in the letter?
Well, he's offering not to go in and smash them, either economically or physically, if they'll stop their process of making nuclear weapons. Seems pretty reasonable to me, but we'll see where they go. Remember, the president, sees himself as a supreme negotiator, and he's a pretty darn effective one, in my opinion. But the Iranians, or the Persians more specifically, are known in the region that nobody ever wants to negotiate with them because they always win negotiations. So he needs to keep it, be at the top of his game when he's dealing with these people. They've eaten American negotiators for lunch several times under Democrat presidents, and hopefully this time we'll get their measure, and maybe we can get some degree of stability in the region, because Iran is the biggest problem for instability in the entire region. And so this is a problem that warrants the president's personal attention.
Well, what's the timeline on this, though?
He is not, and I don't know the timeline, but it's sooner rather than later. The Iranians are, most of the intel folks think they're pretty darn close to being able to make a pull-up effective device, but there's always the fudge factor of, can they deliver it? Just because you have a bomb that will activate if you were standing there on a test range and could set it off, that's not the same as putting it on the top of an intercontinental ballistic missile or even an intermediate range ballistic missile and fire it at a target and get it to work. There's size constraint. These things are very sensitive, and it's a tough engineering problem to solve. So I don't know, and hopefully our intel people do, that the degree they're down that last road, that engineering piece of it. Once they have an actual device, can they get it onto one of their delivery means effectively to use it? So we might have some months left, but this is the right time to engage with them. So I'm glad to hear the president is moving that up to one of the front burners.
Stephen, Chris here, and a couple of things. I ran this morning, I'm sure you've seen the newspaper that's the voice of the Ayatollah, basically, the Supreme Leader, calling for firing bullets into Trump's, quote, empty skull. He's way out of line any day now in revenge for the blood of martyr Soleimani, Qasem Soleimani, of course. A few bullets are going to be fired into that empty skull of his, and he'll be drinking from the chalice of cursed death. I want your thoughts on that along with this. I don't think that Iran's going to stop the nuclear program from everything I've seen. You know a lot more than I ever will. But like I have this envisionment that number one, that a quarter of our B-2 bombers are sitting right now at Diego Garcia Base in the Indian Ocean, and that's a very, very long time not happening and rare thing. And then I have this feeling that, honestly, again, more than I'll ever know, but within a year or so, I honestly think that we're going to have to hit them with those 30,000-pound bunker busters that the only plane they can deliver, that's a B-2. And I'm wondering if you think they'll put an Israeli flag on that plane and let the Israelis drop the bomb based on kind of who would do the attacks.
Our B-2s are fine where they are. Now, we got to deal with the Brits and the stupid idea they're having about giving all this stuff away. Other Brits think that's nutty. We think it's nutty because we've got the base there. We can move those those aircraft to other places. But the aircraft are not a big issue as far as their capabilities. They've been maintained properly. They're one of our cutting edge delivery means for these devices.
Right.
Whether we do it with bunker busters, which I think would be the preferable way to do it, or with smaller nuclear devices, if it gets that close, or if the Iranians detonate something before we hit them, I think you're liable to see the response be nuclear and not just bunker busters. All of that, the propaganda from the Iranians, they talk almost as much smack as Vladimir Putin. So what some of their officials say and the way they say it, all the poetic, violent rhetoric, just par for the course. That does not signal any sort of change in their position. But remember, they're gonna go after both ends of the spectrum. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we'd love to negotiate. We want peace." At the same time, their officials are talking about, shooting into President Trump's skull. They're still ticked at him about Soleimani. He was a hero. Great operation, righteous hit, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. That man deserved to die. But we cannot underestimate the danger of dealing with the Iranians when they have a theology that if they can destroy Israel and America, who they have designated the greater and the little Satan, that they think that'll kick off their version of the Muslim apocalypse. So for them, that's a good thing. Everybody else in the world goes, apocalypse? No, we should work against that right now. But the Iranians are, nope, wait, this is what we want. So they were very dangerous, very unstable from our point of view, bunch of folks. I'm not saying they're clinically crazy. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so I can't make that determination. But compared to you and I and the way we would, do the analysis, they're coming from a different location. So very dangerous, very difficult to address. But again, President Trump, he seems to like to get into these kind of negotiations and discussions. He considers them a personal challenge, and I think he's ready to deal with it.
Stephen, the Houthis, of course, in Yemen, this is the greatest amount of attacks on our naval ships since World War II, and according to some of the folks there with the Navy, they've attacked recently the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier and several U.S. warships in the Red Sea. They've also shot down 3 of our U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drones since March 3rd, which is crazy. And I love that Mike Wallace called them Al-Qaeda or ISIS with advanced cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, some of the most sophisticated air defenses, all provided by Iran. Trump is pounding them mercilessly. We saw the video of a bunch of leaders gathered in a big oval, and they were sent to their dirt nap with Allah, which is great. But Trump saying the Houthis have been decimated by relentless strikes over the past 2 weeks. How decimated are they, and what's going to work to end this? And to me, it seems like Trump has said he'll go after Iran if they don't stop this. How's this going to play out based on what Trump's doing now, and what do you see in the future with it?
Well, I think the Houthis are going to find themselves a negotiating chip here pretty soon on the part of Iran. We've hit them really hard. The Israelis have hit them really hard, and they still seem to have an awful lot of missile capacity still there, all of which comes from Iran. The Iranians, again, are really the key to instability or stability in the region. If they continue to mess around and give away this weaponry and encourage these people to do mischief, they will. If they shut them down, they won't have the capacity to do it anymore. So Iran is really the key. And, look, I'd be happy to, carpet bomb all of the areas the Houthis live in. I'm sure that people will say that's a terrible attitude.
No.
Well, these people are nutty. They continue to fight at attacking anybody who drives by the region. I mean, it's not like they're being particularly discriminating in what they do, and they need to go. The fastest way to do that is to get the Iranians to shut them down. But the Iranians are just so hooked on this use of proxies because it's been so effective for them in the past that I don't think that's a likely short-term result. Maybe down the road we can get them to do it, but in the meantime, they need to be shut down. And I think, together with the Israelis, we ought to take them down physically so that even if the Iranians get more cooperative, the Houthis can't go freelancing on their own, because this is just unacceptable. It's interfering with the global supply chain, not to mention killing, a lot of people. So we got to get that done, and it needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Stephen Bucci, Army Special Forces officer for 3 decades, top Pentagon official with the Heritage Foundation. I got to ask you one more thing on Ukraine. How do you see this playing out from where we're at right now? It's been kind of quiet, quote unquote, at least for the past several days or so. It doesn't seem like much is going to change. Putin still has his unlimited amount of forces to conscript and send against their will. Got North Korea. Where are we at now with the Trump negotiations? Doesn't seem like we're going much anywhere right now.
Right now, the ball is in Putin's court. Trump has laid down what he wants done with both sides. The Ukrainians seem to be willing to cooperate. I think they would rather continue to fight if people would fund it and give them the means. But they recognize that's probably not in the cards, right? That there's some war weariness from all of the donor states to that. And frankly, there's a lot of it in Ukraine. They do not have unlimited means. They got a lot of really brave folks willing to fight, but there's also a lot of mothers and wives and daughters who are saying, enough's enough. We need to bring these guys home. The Russians are feeling that also, but Putin has a much bigger control over the news, and he really does own all the guns, so he can make people participate whether they want to or not. So Putin is going to have to pay a price to get it in his head that he's not going to get everything he wants. He thinks he's going to, mess around with Trump the way he did with Biden and Obama. And I thought he understood that that's not the case, but he seems to be, playing them, dangling them a little bit. And I think that's a mistake on Putin's part. And if Trump is, Zelensky found out if you cross Trump, he gets ticked. And when he gets ticked, he's not Mr. Nice Guy anymore. And I think Putin may find that out as well. I hope it doesn't kick off into something bigger. But, Putin needs to be convinced enough's enough. Take what you got and walk away, but don't think you're going to turn around in a week and start grabbing the rest of it. But we'll see where he goes. Putin is a hard man to convince of anything because he really does have some delusions of grandeur. He really thinks Russia still is a superpower. It's not. It's about a third-rate power, but they do still have nuclear capabilities. So that's problematic. It's something we can't just cavalierly write off. But, President Trump's trying to convince him otherwise.
Wanted to ask you one more question before we let you go. Ukraine's rare earth minerals, how's that negotiation going? It's a form of payback since we have given them billions of dollars.
Yeah, I think they understand that has a two-edge to it. One is we would like to have control of those rare earth minerals and we don't have to worry so much about China's monopoly on it. But they also recognize that if America has a stake inside of Ukraine, which we would if we were managing and were the beneficiaries of those rare earth minerals, that is, frankly, the security guarantee that he's looking for against Russia. So hopefully that will continue in a positive way. That's sort of the ace card from our standpoint, where we can get as close to a win-win out of this as I think is possible right now.
Yeah, it's the least they could do.
So hopefully it's going in a positive direction.
All right, Stephen Bucci, we're going to have to leave it there for today. You served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer. Thank you for your service. Also a top Pentagon official, visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Thank you so much, Stephen. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. If President Trump wants to secure a national security legacy that will never be other than history-changing, the time to do so is fast approaching. President Trump has drawn a red line for Iran. The question is whether or not he'll now enforce it. The Institute for the Study of War recently published a summary of the moment. Senior Iranian officials are continuing to threaten nuclear weaponization, likely to try and deter a potential U.S. or Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities amid new U.S. threats to strike those facilities, close quote. At least a half dozen B-2 bombers, along with tankers and cargo aircraft, have deployed to the island of Diego Garcia in recent weeks. About 2,400 miles from Iran's southern coast. Those B-2s can reach everywhere in Iran. Trump knows what a disaster it will be if Iran gets nukes. On the edge of enormous events, American media seems almost oblivious to the highest of stakes showdown unfolding before our eyes. But they are unfolding, and rapidly.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit FVGradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-208-0414. 800-208-0414. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-208-0414. 800-208-0414 and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Men, are you over 40? Are you struggling with low energy? Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Hey, it's Dan Proft. I want to get you started today. Visit one of Low T Center's conveniently located clinics and get back to feeling your best. This April only, your consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you, and it's covered by most major insurance. Get treated at one of their centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com.
Do you remember when you were a kid and you fantasized that your bicycle was a motorcycle? Maybe you even put baseball cards in the spokes to make it sound like a motorcycle. But it really wasn't a motorcycle. Sometimes things just aren't what you want them to be. Like, let's take your retirement, for instance. Sometimes it looks like the numbers are getting to a pretty high amount. Might be $500,000, maybe $1 million, maybe more. But did you factor in all of the things like inflation, taxes, unpredictable market activities, things that make the numbers not appear what they are? Security in your retirement. Does it make you worry sometimes when you see market activity or you hear contradictory evidence of inflation numbers or what taxes will be on retirement? If these things make you worry, get nervous, even wonder if you have enough, well, then it's time to call Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group for a complimentary discovery meeting. And you can do that today. Simply call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
AM 560,
The
Answer. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we're not only paying illegals to live in Illinois. Wait until you hear about a program that gets people to move to Illinois and what we are paying for. Not a lot of people know about this program. It's been around for a while, but it's shocking. But first, we have to stop by that newsroom and say hello once again to Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Elon Musk is sharing more of his vision for the world, saying he'd like to see the U.S. and Europe eventually move into a zero-tariff situation. The world's richest man made the comments over the weekend at an event hosted by Italy's deputy prime minister. Musk says he also believes the benefit of creating a very close partnership between the two continents where workers are able to move more freely. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro responded Sunday on Fox News, saying Musk is simply protecting his own interests. Though many people disagree and actually have a problem with the tariffs. Citations are pending following a crash near the Art Institute of Chicago. Police say a driver ran a light and hit another vehicle yesterday in the morning in the 100 block of South Columbus Drive. 2 people were sent to the hospital. News is a service of Low T Center. Men over 40 not feeling like it yourself lately, no energy or motivation. Low T Center's testosterone therapy is the solution. This April, the consultation's free. The treatment's covered by most major insurance. Find a clinic near you or get treated at home and get back to feeling your best today. Book now at lowtcenter.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder sets the record straight.
So Obama and Biden took positions regarding Ukraine and Zelensky that Trump took. Except in Trump's case, unlike Obama, who gave Zelensky sheets and blankets, Trump gave them Javelin missiles. And yet people say that Trump is soft on Russia. You people should listen to more talk radio.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this a new coating?
Well, yeah, but...
It's so smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting a new coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, that's cool, too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor this spring. Mention Amy Jacobson to receive $500 off any new project. Visit level10coatings.com to schedule today or call 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Hey, Carl Jackson here for Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments along with lectures, celebrity interviews, and his famous Torah teachings and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com, Pragertopia.com.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 20 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. Inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 23 minutes. Outbound, about 21 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 23 minutes. Outbound, 23 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lake Shore Drive, 21 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Breezy, cloudy, couple of snow showers today. High 42, clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight with a low 25. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high 43. Clouds and a bit of snow and rain at times in the morning on Wednesday. Little or no accumulation, the high Wednesday 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Paying for people to move to Illinois. Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft this week. Thanks for coming in, partner. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
So I'm at the gym a few weeks ago, and my friend Bob came up to me and said, "Oh, did you hear blah, blah, blah? They're moving back from Ohio to Illinois. And get this, they're paying off his student loans." And I said, "Oh, no, do tell." The guy graduated from Bowling Green, owes $60,000 in student loans. He and his wife are having a baby, so they naturally want to move back to Illinois so that they could have, the grandparents and the family around. So they were looking for houses, and their realtor and their mortgage guy told them, "Hey, you know what? Illinois will pay $40,000 off of your student loan if you buy a house, get a mortgage in the state of Illinois." And I couldn't believe it. My jaw was, because I knew we were paying for illegals to move here and then giving them driver's license and eventually Social Security cards, and eventually they can vote. But I didn't know we were paying fellow Americans to move into the state of Illinois. So naturally, I called the best mortgage guy in the world, and that is David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending of Team Hochberg at Homeside Financial. And David, do you remember when I called you and I said, "Is this a real thing?" And what was your response?
Yeah, it's a real thing, and but the money ran out quick, and I said, "Are you okay?" Because I'd never heard you work out that angrily before, so I just wanted to make sure I did a health and wellness check. Well,
but here's the thing, though: are our tax dollars paying for my friend's son to move back to Illinois and pay off his student loan, or is there some other program that's funding this?
Well, there's a grant that usually runs out within 2 months, and it did this year. It was House Smarts. is what they call it. It's through the Illinois Housing Development Authority. To be honest with you, I have no idea where they get all this money to do all these programs. They've got down payment assistance programs for borrowers with 640 minimum credit scores and meet income qualifications to get $5,000, $7,500, and $10,000 down payment assistance to cover the down payment and to cover the closing costs. And they came out with this House Smarts program, guys, a couple of years back, and it usually runs out within 60 days, and do tell it did run out this year within 60 days. It's like you said, you had to pay off up to $40,000 in student loans, and you have to pay them off in full. It can't, like if your friend had a $60,000 student loan.
He did, yes.
He wouldn't be, okay, well then he would have had to pay it down to $40,000 in order to get it paid off and extinguished at the closing. Listen, it's crazy, but these are the programs that the state comes out with, and we offer it. Don't shoot the messenger here. I know, but so Smart Buy first launched in 2022. Get this, 631 individuals and families bought new homes using Smart Buy. The state helped people pay down $17 million in student debt. So clearly we're that desperate for residents since we're hemorrhaging them to red states where the taxes are lower. There's no state income tax. I know Utah right now is considering eliminating their state income tax, and we are probably thinking about raising ours. Yeah, well, Utah. Utah's a beautiful place to go. It's got low taxes. Businesses are booming. People are flying in there. Residents from California are moving out of the California market, out of the state all entirely, and moving to Utah and Idaho and Montana. And all those real estate values have shot up. So yeah, it's not only paid down, we paid off. I mean, completely paid off some resident student loans that qualified. So you have winners and losers, and I guess if you have student loans, they're doing everything they can to try to get those out of the way so people moving to Illinois or people in Illinois could buy homes. I'm not a big fan of it, but again,
David, it's Chris.
Yes, sir.
I got to ask you, what is the root of this problem? And and some might laugh at this, depends on how much your student loans are. I owe nothing. I was a fool. I thought I was supposed to pay back things, so my wife and I paid off ours way back when.
You could have moved to Illinois, and we would have paid them off for you.
I know. I would have never paid, but of course it'd be like 20 years later or something by now. I don't know what. But what is the root
you
of
want
this
to know what the root of the problem is?
Yes, will a small, I'll say it this way, because if you move from another state into Illinois and you move your entire family and your household, will a small temporary incentive actually lure people in? And I know it might be laughable if you owe $40,000 in loans, but in the end, I still got to live there for I don't know how long, but go ahead, sir.
Well, it's helped some. I'm sure some of the 640-some people that Amy mentioned were moving in, and it definitely helped them qualify. You move here, if you paid off a $40,000 student loan, the typical monthly payment on a $40,000 student loan is you're probably looking at close to $700-800 a month, right? So $700-800 a month in this market is $100,000 worth of mortgage payments. Okay, the root cause of the problem, Chris, is that we've given money out like drunken sailors give out whiskey. Like we just give people out. When I do a loan for somebody, Chris, I have to show an ability to repay.
Right.
The borrower has to show the ability to repay. That came out of Dodd-Frank. We have to show that there's actually income, there's assets, and there's some ability to repay. When you get a 30-year fixed loan or any type of Fannie Freddie, FHA, VA loan, you have to show an ability to repay. That just came out of Dodd-Frank. But when you're 18 years old kid and you have no idea what's going on and you don't know which way is up and you're going to have 15 different things that you're going to do in the next 4 years when you go to college, because you're going to start at liberal arts, you're going to go to business, you're going to be an astronaut. You don't know what the hell you're going to do. We're going to load them up with $20,000 to $25,000, $250,000 to $300,000 worth of student loan debt. And we're going to saddle their parents with the same BS. And we're just going to let the money flow through an 84-inch water main. Right? Kind of like in the subprime market is. And what happened when everything shut down in 07 and 08 when the money started stopping, we had a major correction. I've been saying this on the radio for the past 20 years. These no-good bastards that are letting this money flow like crazy is the reason why student student education costs are out of freaking control. You've got universities like the University of Illinois and the University of Wisconsin. You've got Harvard. You've got Michigan. You've got all these gigantic universities with billions of dollars worth of endowments charging $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 for these kids to go to school. I was at the Hawks game last night at my suite entertaining a group of folks, and one guy's like, yeah, my kid's looking at Vanderbilt. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're going to need a second mortgage on your house for that. That's $80,000 to $100,000 a year.
Right.
Okay.
Well, how did the heck
year.
did this happen? Because when I went to Iowa, it was 7,000, 8,000 out of state. Now it's 60,000 out of state.
Nobody wants to touch the third rail. Okay, you want to send Doge into something? Send Eli and his band of whoever the hell they are into the college education financing program, and let's start putting some common sense into there. Okay, I mean, I walk onto these universities. There's new buildings going up everywhere. My daughter's a sophomore, Amy, at the University of Iowa. Right, beautiful campus. Right, everything. There's buildings going up left and right. I'm like, I'm not knocking the University of Iowa. Right, it's a great campus. My daughter's getting a great education, but it's like the money that's being spent on absolute BS. And instead of knocking down the cost of education, that gets passed on to the kid, that gets passed on to the parents. So you want the root cause, Chris? There's the root cause. And nobody wants to step on it because it's a freaking money train for all of these no-good bastard elected officials because they got money going back into those universities that vote for them and give them huge donations. That's the root cause of the problem.
Because they keep upping how much you can borrow year after year, and there's a proportionate amount of increase in tuition based on how much the levels are raised every single year. John Stossel did something on this several years ago. But here's the thing. Two questions for you. And by the way, a comment, Bob, the friend, your friend, Amy, Bob, he was already moving here, is what I heard from your friend at the workout place. He was already moving here. He's like, oh, hey, I found
the realtor let him know.
How many of these people, here's my question, David, twofold. How many of these people are already moving here anyways and go, oh, look at that? And second of all, if I move back to my home state of Illinois, and I went to Western Illinois University, it was $8,000 a year for everything when I went in the mid-'90s. If I move back, how soon can I leave to escape the high taxes that I'll end up paying all that money back anyways and regulations, et cetera?
Well, here, it wasn't attracting new people. I mean, Amy's friend just happened to take advantage of this program, and he was moving back. There's hundreds of people that are. I would say, I would have to guess, Amy and Chris, if I had to say out of the 640, whatever there was, I'd say more than 90% of those people already lived in Illinois. All right, that were trying to buy a home, because we have a bunch of borrowers that went through the program the first 2 months of the year when the funds were still there. Okay, and so I don't know if it's necessarily an incentive to bring people back to Illinois. It's just an incentive to help those homeowners or potential homeowners that have got student loans that are blocking their ability. You know, the thought process is, right, that student loan is blocking your ability
to own a house.
Home.
Yep.
Okay. This guy's moving back anyway. It sounds like from what you're telling me. You know, that he probably had the means and didn't need the $40,000 to pay off. But hey, if the 40 G's is on the table and you qualify, you're going to let it sit there? No, you're going to take the 40
It's just printing money. That's
right.
all.
So here's the deal: the program's open to first-time and repeat home buyers.
Repeat. Yep.
Eligible applications must have at least $1,000 and no more than $40,000 in student debt, and the state will pay off participants' student loans in full. Partial repayment is not an option.
Right.
I mean, this is like winning the lotto.
Well, yeah, but again, you could have more than $40,000. That's not accurately, that's not factually accurate. What you said, I just want to clarify it. You have to pay off student loans up to $40,000, and it has to be in full, right? So again, if you have two $20,000 loans, they'd pay those off. If you've got a $60,000 student loan, you'd have to pay that 60 down to 40. And then they'll pay off the 40. And student loans got to be gone by when you close, and it gets paid at the closing. So I just wanted to clarify that. You also need a minimum of 640 credit scores, and there's a couple other income. Like you said, there's income requirements. So here, I don't know where the money's coming from. To be honest with you, I don't know if they got a grant from the state. I don't know if the state. I don't know if the state is budgeting it, but here, the flip side is there are a ton of people out there that got PPP money that shouldn't have got PPP money.
Yep.
We just have a rampant problem here with free money. Okay, we just have and you want to know why had the inflation, during the Biden administration? Okay, it's because we dumped $4 trillion or $5 trillion into the economy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's not. I mean,
and the Inflation Explosion Act.
Of course. Well, that didn't help either. Okay, and that just added, and that was a cherry on top of it. And all the business owners out there, and this is what pisses me off. All the business owners out there, that listen to the station, other station that I'm friends with, they're like, oh yeah, we shouldn't give money away. Da 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 da. Yeah, you guys buckled up to the bar and got
got their drink
your
on,
hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you drank out of the same trough. You shut your mouth. You got the same money, and you didn't put it into your business. You put it into your payroll department when you guys were crushing it during COVID, and you took that check. So don't give me your BS either about this stuff. We got a rampant problem, and you know what? Why don't you give that money back and stop firing on these people that took the 600 people that took the money when you're taking hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep your business going. That was perfectly run and fine during COVID, and you didn't need the money, but you went and got that money just like these people are getting the money. And listen, it's wrong all the way around, so I'm firing on everybody, and that's why we're in the problem that we're at. Okay,
Right.
So, it is what it is. If you've got a chance to pay off $40,000 worth of student loans, again, I'm not a big fan of the program, but, if you got a chance to do it, what, are you not going to take it? I mean, and if you say yes, you're lying.
Well, and it opens up again at the beginning of the year. They reset on January 1st.
They reset, every year. Okay.
So don't move until January 1st, but move right away at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st and pay off everything except for make it $40,000, even not $40,001, not $40,001. You pay it off.
No.
Yes, and then you go easy street, and you have somebody print. You have our government print more money to put on the back of our debt, our deficit, our children. Everything, and then we'll pay for you,
but
even
the
though
problem
you
is,
don't need the money.
Yeah, problem is you have to live in Illinois. All right, David Hochberg, let me ask you another question. Mortgage rates.
That's one of the requirements.
That's one of the requirements. The summers are okay, the winters are brutal.
Right.
But spring is the worst because it's one day it'll snow, next day it's 70, so whatever.
Hey, at least you have a spring. Ours is 1 or 2 weeks long.
Yeah. He's living in Dallas, David. All right. Mortgage rates.
I'll hold a cup for you at the bottom of the off ramp.
I mean, you got me the best mortgage rate back in the day. 2.75, 30-year fixed. That's why I don't want to move, even though I want to move. But
the golden cups.
So, what are we looking at and project the future for the next year for a 30-year fixed?
We saw a little bit of dip. This tariff talk is freaking the people out. I mean, it's typically when you're running out of stocks, you're putting into the safety of bonds, and it drops the yields down. We get lower rates. That happened at the end of last week when I'm watching CNBC here as we're talking. The 10 years over 4 again, which doesn't help out. So what's happening is, and just reading and listening over the weekend of what's going on, trying to figure it out. People are running out of stocks and keeping it in cash. I mean, they used to put it into bonds, but they're freaked out about bonds too for some reason. So the tariff talk is not good for inflation. The consumer pays for it, no matter what anybody wants to tell you, and whatever cup of Java juice you're drinking out of, you are going to be paying more, and inflation is not good for interest rates. So we're just in a big drunken dreidel spinning out of control here, and we don't know exactly what's going on, and even the financial experts don't know what's going on, which makes it more confusing. Bitcoin's down to 77,000. The Dow's off and everything, and you got the 10-year going up. So typically, Amy and Chris, when there's a huge market sell-off, it's usually good for mortgages because people take money out of stocks and put it into bonds, and it drives the yields down, which translate into lower interest rates for the 30-year fix. But that's not really happening right now. So, this is a new world order here. So we're trying to figure it out like everybody else, and we'll keep you posted as we know more.
Fun times. David Hochberg, how can people reach you if they want you to do their mortgage or just for any other questions in general?
Yeah, or interpersonal relationship.
Exactly. Love.
Yeah, because I'm really good at that.
Yes. Oh no, actually, you are really good at that. If you're getting a divorce,
Okay.
you're very pragmatic and all about business. So I appreciate that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had those consultations.
Yes, we-
855-563-2843. 85. I'm like, put the tissue down and pay attention. Let's go. 855-563-2843, or go to 56david.com.
56david.com. David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Team Hochberg at Homeside Financial. David, always a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, guys. Have a great week.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
If the amazing regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics provided relief for former pro football player Bobby Carpenter, imagine the potential for your aching joints.
So my knee had been bothering me for a while. I played football for a number of years. I looked at talking to some doctors when I need to potentially have surgery, and I decided hey, let's check out QC Kinetics. I go in there and they look at the knee. Hey, here's the program that we can put you through.
That treatment takes your body's own healing properties and concentrates them at the root of the pain. No surgery or downtime.
The best part was there's no recovery until one day I felt like, hey, this feels like my old self again. I feel better. It's helped me. It's helped my dad. Hopefully it will help you in the same way. My message to them is do not wait. So you can go out and play golf and do the things that you love and enjoy.
Take it from Bobby Carpenter. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Do you want your child to come back from school hating God, America, and you? If the answer is no, the solution is St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard. Hi, I'm the man, Cal. Look, I'm a Christian guy with 2 daughters out in this world, and it can get very scary. St. John's Lutheran School Lombard is the only school in all of Illinois that offers the Hillsdale College curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a game changer. A nurturing environment with a Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking that teaches kids to think for themselves, not what to think. What a great thing to do for your child or grandchild. Strong academics with the Hillsdale curriculum and strong character. Go to stjohnslombard.com. That's Saint, S-T, johnslombard.com. stjohnslombard.com. It's in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and all places nearby. stjohnslombard.com.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
It's official. Newsmax has become a news giant. It's even listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Over 40 million Americans regularly turn to Newsmax for the news they need to know. They're tuning into the Newsmax channel on all major cable systems. They watch Newsmax 2 on all streaming platforms. They go online to newsmax.com for breaking headlines. Millions more have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphone and home TV. Reuters says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. Tens of millions of Americans like you have made the switch to Newsmax for the news they can trust. So make the switch today. You won't ever look back.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you seen our energy bill? You'd think Elon used our furnace to power his rocket ships.
Very funny, babe. That furnace is 20 years old and probably hasn't been cleaned in 10.
I'll have Air Right Heating and Cooling check it out. They've seen it all. Plus, there's still time to take advantage of federal rebates. They even give AM 560 listeners $56 off any service.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, moving into shaking. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Trump's multi-approach to tariff strategy. And is tariff still the most beautiful word in the dictionary? We'll get the latest with Richard Porter. Today, we're going to have sunshine this morning, then scattered showers, possibly snow. This afternoon, a high of 42 degrees. Tonight, scattered snow showers. Then tomorrow, finally sunshine and a high of 42 degrees. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Are we headed for an economic nuclear winter? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As stock markets keep falling, that's what influential hedge fund manager Bill Ackman has warned about President Trump's new U.S. tariffs leading to retaliation from other countries.
The president has made it clear that this policy, he believes, will help American workers.
That's the director of the White House National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, who also tells Fox.
As the idea that it's going to be a nuclear winter or something like that is completely irresponsible rhetoric.
And Fox's Peter Doocy reports from the White House.
This morning, President Trump has already called on the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. He is signaling that he is not going to back down off the tariff strategies, so he thinks the Fed should act accordingly and act quickly.
When you look at the trade deficit that we have with certain countries, way over $1 billion per country. But with China, it's $1 trillion.
And when it comes to the market sell-off here and overseas, the president also told reporters on Air Force One last night sometimes it takes medicine to fix things. Dow futures are now down about 900 points after the Dow plunged nearly 4,000 the past two trading days. President Trump will talk trade with Israel's prime minister at the White House today and the ongoing war in Gaza after another deadly round of airstrikes. Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, tells Fox,
with all due respect, there is suffering in Gaza, but the one to be blamed for that is only Hamas.
Hamas launched a barrage of rockets into Israel over the weekend. Days of storms that did damage in much of the south have left at least 19 people dead and many areas flooded with dozens of rivers still rising. Fox Weather's Mike Seidel reports from Jacksonport, Arkansas.
The White River is going to crest later on today, but then stay above flood stage till Wednesday. The river has actually come up 25 feet since late last week, so it's way, way over its banks and still rising about another foot. Many farmlands are still underwater.
Another loss in court for President Trump this morning. The full U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. blocked his removal of Democrats from two federal labor boards, calling it unlawful. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 40 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Attorney General Pam Bondi says President Trump will obey the law if it rules against him. Speaking on Fox News Sunday, Bondi said that Trump is doing what he said he would.
No, the president is going to comply with the law. He was overwhelmingly elected by an overwhelming majority of the United States citizens to be our commander-in-chief, and that's what he's been doing.
Bondi says that the Trump administration maintains that a Maryland man who the Justice Department said was mistakenly deported was an MS-13 gang member, and it's her directive to get people like him out of the country. Bondi says they're looking out for the safety of the American people and will continue to do so. The IRS is cutting 25% of its staff. On Friday, employees in the Office of Civil Rights and Compliance were dismissed via email ahead of even more planned layoffs. The office dedicated to preventing discrimination lost 130 employees. Those remaining in the department have reportedly been moved to the Office of Chief Counsel. Prosecutors are asking a judge to drop a bribery charge against former Chicago alderman and federal mole Danny Solis. The ex-city council member helped the feds by wearing a wire, which led to the conviction of two powerful lawmakers, one-time alderman Edward Burke and former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. If the judge approves the motion, Solis will walk away with his freedom and his criminal record and pension intact. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are off the morning lows, but point to a third day of selling. President Trump this morning repeated that he believes the Federal Reserve should cut interest rates. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon says in his annual letter to investors that recent tariffs will likely increase inflation and will cause many to consider a greater possibility of recession. Though Dimon says the U.S. economy, at least until recently, continued to be resilient. Crude oil prices are losing ground on concerns that a global slowdown will result in weaker demand for energy. Brent crude, the global benchmark, is down to $63 a barrel. There is merger news this morning. Republic Airways and Mesa Air Group will combine and will be called Republic Airways Holdings. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
Spring is in the air, and that means it's time to check the starting lineup. Leading off for AM 560 every morning at 5, it's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson, followed at 9 by Mike Gallagher. Moving up in the lineup, it's Charlie Kirk, now heard at 11. Then at 2, it's 2 full hours of Hugh Hewitt, followed by Sean Thompson at 4, Seculo at 7, and rounding out the lineup, Larry Elder at 8. Top to bottom, the best lineup in Chicago radio is right here on AM 560. The Answer.
You've probably been hearing a lot of buzz about tariffs.
I haven't.
Really?
What's a tariff? It's a tax on imported goods.
It makes these imported goods more expensive.
Oh, that explains why I've never heard of tariffs.
Why?
Because 92.3% of the furniture at Penny Mustard is made in the USA.
True.
In fact, most of it is built by local craftsmen and women right here in the Midwest.
And locally sourced furniture will never have a tariff on it.
So when you invest in new furniture at Penny Mustard, you won't be paying extra taxes and shipping costs.
Besides, tariffs or no tariffs, our American-made Penny Mustard Strong furniture will last generations longer than IFE-made furniture shipped in from overseas.
You get so much more for your money when you buy American.
Tell me more about these tariffs.
Can we talk about this later? I'm so tired of hearing about them.
Oh, so I guess you can say that all this talk about tariffs is taxing.
I see what you did there.
PennyMustard.com.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center on the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, about 17 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound, about 40 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 38 minutes. Outbound, 36 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 28 minutes. On the outbound side, about 23 minutes. Traffic is a service of Low T Center. Men over 40 not feeling like yourself lately, no energy, no motivation. Low T Center's testosterone therapy is the solution. This April, the consultation's free. Treatment's covered by most major insurance. Find a clinic near you or get treated at home and get back to feeling your best today. Book now at lowtcenter.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy and breezy, couple of snow showers around today. High 42, clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 25, and then partly sunny, chilly tomorrow, the high 43. A bit of snow and rain at times on Wednesday morning, little or no accumulation, the high 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Mixed messages coming from the White House. Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft this week. And Elon Musk said he wants a new free trade agreement with Europe to eliminate tariffs on both sides. That sounds reasonable, right?
I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
But here's the deal. Whoa, says White House senior counsel and trade advisor Peter Navarro. He says this is not negotiable and this is not what the tariffs are about.
This is not a negotiation. This is a national emergency based on a trade deficit that's gotten out of control because of cheating. We're always willing to listen. Don't say you want to lower their tariffs and be done with it. It's the non-tariff cheating. Stop manipulating your currency. Stop dumping stuff in.
So this morning, while the stock market is dropping again, the White House really has to get their communications in order. I mean, is this about bringing in $100 billion in tariff revenue or negotiating ploy to bring tariffs down to zero? That is the question. And with that, let's welcome back to the program Richard Porter, former national committeeman to the RNC from Illinois, and he authored an article at realclearpolitics.com, Trump's multi-pronged tariff strategy. So which one is it, Richard? Is this a negotiation ploy to bring tariffs down to zero, or is this bringing in billions of dollars of tariff revenue?
Well, I think it's both. And I think it depends on the sector that you're talking about. But, I think that there is a pragmatism to this and a theoretical inconsistency, but sometimes that's what pragmatism is recognizing that there are certain industries that you're going to want to protect, like steel and perhaps autos, and certainly computer chips that have a strategic importance to them. And then there are, kind of general industry where I think moving towards a zero tariff environment is the goal of the administration. So I think they want to do both.
Now, in your article, you talked about an October speech that you gave at the Chicago Economic Club that reiterated what Trump was saying, that tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary. Do you still stand by that?
Well, that was actually the president.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was a great speech. I don't know. It was he was being interviewed by someone from, I think it was Bloomberg, and he was taunting him, because, of course, look, I'm a University of Chicago grad, and I studied law and economics there, and look, from a theoretical point of view, you want less friction and lower taxes, and tariffs create friction, and they are a tax. They're a tax on the foreign supplier of goods, and then there's some dispute about whether it's passed through to consumers or not. But there's no question that part of what the president is looking for here is some protection for American workers. I mean, we have to recognize that what happened as we imposed our theories of free trade, which are correct, that they had an impact on the American middle class, folks that were working in high-wage jobs and manufacturing, they were impacted not just by low-wage workers in other countries, but also by high-wage workers in countries like Germany that had lots of trade barriers. For example, you find almost no American cars in Germany. That's because of the trade barriers that they have. Now, a lot of this goes back to the post-war construct that we set up, where we were trying to help Europe to rebuild. And so we did so explicitly with the Marshall Plan, where we were funding some of the reconstruction directly with U.S. dollars. We also did so implicitly and indirectly by allowing Europe to maintain some trade barriers that protected their recovering industries, while we lowered those same trade barriers on our industries. And so we gave them a leg up in the trade game. And that's gone on for 60 years, 70 years. And so President Trump is saying that construct has to come to an end. We're past Reconstruction. We're now in a world where we should all be competing on a level playing field along these kind of basic industries.
Well, why didn't Trump tackle this issue his first time in office? Why do you think he waited till his second term?
He did in some. I mean, for example, his steel tariffs really helped the steel industry recover. It's one of the reasons why you look in Illinois, downstate Illinois, really swung from being a mixed Republican-Democrat environment to being a solid Republican environment, because his steel tariffs had a real impact. It opened up a couple of steel plants down the southern part of Illinois and put a lot of people to work back in high-wage jobs. And so, the steel workers of America saw this. The auto workers saw this. This is one of the reasons why there's been such a tectonic shift where the working Americans are the party, we're the party of the working Americans, the Republicans, because President Trump has gone to bat for folks in a way that no one else has for 60 years.
So, Richard, it's Chris. I love the column you had in Real Clear Politics today that Amy is referencing. You say the first Trump deploys, then pulls back the high tariffs. He's doing, I don't say a rope-dope, but he's messing with them to shock them to, number one, well, I won't do the numbers because that's what you do in your piece, but one of the things he's doing is taking these relationships we've had with our allies for decades and decades and decades, going back for some time, and he's saying, no more are we buying your friendship and influence. If you're our allies, we're setting everything straight. We're not getting ripped off anymore. And I think that's brilliant what you're saying. But also, he's rattling the cages and doing this to shake everything, to get people to come to the table. And, I mean, you look at George W. Bush, one of his top economic advisors was interviewed the other day, and he says that he sees within a few months this will be, a lot of these ones will be settled by the end of the year. 6 months, the last 6 months of the year, a lot of this will be settled too. I don't have any discomfort in this, and it's meant to be uncomfortable and shake the whole system to rebuild it. It sounds like you would agree with that.
Yeah, look, it is uncomfortable. I'm not excited about seeing the stock market fall, but that's part of the transition. The stock market values things not just on what cash flows are, but on the certainty of the cash flows. And so what's happened is that Donald Trump, by changing the environment in which businesses will be operating, is creating some uncertainty for the businesses. They have to rethink and think about their supply chain and maybe rebuild in the United States. And so this round of tariffs and protectionism is fundamentally different than kind of the theoretical, 19th century assessment of tariffs, because a lot of what he's doing is trying to get into the heads of the CEOs of multinationals who can make decisions about where they locate their production. So you think about John Deere and some of the auto companies during the campaign, where the president was speaking directly to them and saying, look, you need to build to John Deere. You got to rebuild in the Quad Cities. If you're going to build something in Mexico, you're going to have a problem with me. And so it isn't just kind of protecting 1,000 small furniture makers or something like that, or pin makers, what Adam Smith might talk about that. Instead, it's almost a personal conversation with the CEOs of the Fortune 1000 and saying, when you're deciding where to locate your business, you need to recognize that you are an American business first. And so you got to take care of your neighbors. You can't just operate on the basis of lowest cost and what's the best, for your bottom line. You need to incorporate into your thinking the impact what you're doing is having on American workers. So this is an overlay of pragmatism on top of theory. Theories don't put their kids to bed at night.
Right.
And a lot of what he's doing is saying, yes, that's true, but we have to also think about our fellow Americans. We have to think about our defense posture. We can't be in a situation where, we don't have a gunpowder plant in America. We don't have the steel capacity in order to, to supply our own needs in the event of some kind of a crisis with China. None of our pharmaceuticals are made here. We've gotten ourselves into a situation where, yes, theoretically, it's a good thing to spread cost to the lowest cost producer. But the problem is that might leave you vulnerable to a situation where you have a hostile power that tries to lever that situation against you. So we still have a lot of power, a lot of economic power, and the president is levering that to the benefit of all Americans. It's uncomfortable.
Right. No, it is uncomfortable, and it's painful in the process. And I made the mistake of looking at my 401k. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it's not getting any better. But resetting global trade and getting corporations to move plants back to America, to employ Americans, that could take years. And we have a midterm election, that's going to start in earnest in 1 year from now.
Yeah, but I think, look, in Trump time, things happen faster, right? He's just, this is what is also unsettling to a lot of Americans who are protesting really good things about how he's remaking the government. And I think that's the same thing here. He isn't just doing this sort of on a one-off basis, right? He's not kind of ticking down the list of suppliers and spending a year negotiating with them. He has whacked the entire world and said, we're open. If you want to call us up, in the meantime, we're going to start collecting these significant tariffs from you. And as a result of that, I think, as you mentioned, Amy, in the lead-in, 50 countries have already come and said, let's talk. So Trump time moves faster than ordinary time. He's making the government do stuff at a faster pace. And it goes back. This is one of his strengths. Think about Donald Trump in the 1980s when he saw how long it was taking everybody to fix the Central Park ice skating rink. And he got it done in like 6 months. It had been a project been going on for years. Think about the IRS modernization or the FAA modernization. The government languishes and takes everything. One of the Doge things is that Treasury's been working on this project for 30 years, a 5-year project, and they're still 5 years away. Right. This is the problem with government. And so I think that Trump, his whole goal, like with Doge, is that by the time we have our 250th birthday, I can't say quintessential, whatever it is,
right.
In July 4th of next year, he wants to be done. And then he wants to enter that fall campaign season saying, look at all that I've done. So yes, there is in private equity and investing world a thing called the J curve, where when you take over a business and you implement a new strategy, sometimes it has a negative impact on the value of the business out of the box. But the whole goal is to come out of that J curve and onto a stronger growth projection. So I think that's what the president is trying to do. We're taking a step back. Yes, that's happening. You can see it in the markets today. That's because we're resetting relationships in the terms of trade. Businesses have to rethink what their supply chain is going to be. They have to think about how am I going to hire these people and train them. So there's a lot going on, and he's driving that change, and he's driving it at a very fast pace. So I'm not convinced that the midterm elections are going to be a problem. I think at the moment, if we had an election right now, it would be, we saw in Wisconsin. That there's turmoil. I think by the 4th of July of next year, he'll be done with this, and then he's going to be kind of coming in and saying, look at all that I did.
Richard, you also have a Daily Mail poll that came out today saying that Trump went up 4 points from his last poll they recently did to 53% approval with the tariffs already begun in that polling thing. I wanted to also hit on this. Just a little earlier this morning, EU's von der Leyen says, quote, we are ready to negotiate with the U.S. on tariffs. We see other allies doing that, Vietnam, Taiwan, etc. And then look at this, too, and twofold. Number one, I want to mention and ask I think that a lot of our allies are and will be coming to the table very shortly. And on the flip side, China, this morning, their market seems to be imploding. Quote, China's stock market has the biggest single-day crash since 2008. Quote, over 2,000 mainland listed companies have hit limit down in China, and China's most active CSI 1000 stock index futures is now down 10%, hitting limit down. And, of course, you can explain what that means probably better than I can, hitting limit down.
Yeah, well, we put in these circuit breakers, so-called circuit breakers, years ago in the wake of a couple of the crashes. And And so the idea there is to give people a chance to breathe, because sometimes there's panic selling, and that arises when people have leverage on their stock. We have limits on how much money you can borrow against your stock in the United States to try to impact that. And we also have circuit breakers, too. But, China's, their market isn't quite as mature as ours, and I do think that they have a little more leverage in their marketplace. And look, we're a major trading partner for them. And so it's, we still have a big stick. I mean, China has a lot of leverage on us, but we have a lot of leverage on them. And this is where the president going out to play golf this weekend in the face of a 10% downdraft in our market was really kind of a brilliant bidding move. And what it was if you're bluffing someone, and I'm not saying it's a bluff, but I mean, I just think you want to convey cool and calm in the face of kind of market turmoil to show I'm not troubled by the short-term disruption, by what's happening. I'm playing for the long-term game. I'm not blinking. And so conveying that message to China, I think, is very important. China responds to strength, as do other nations. And so what Donald Trump always does is convey that sort of determination and strength. And that's what's more likely to get people to the table. And then I think we'll find out what the real bottom line is. I think the president does have in mind he wants to raise revenue from the transactions, from the sales, from the imports of these foreign products, as well as lower tariffs. He wants to do both. And so, we're going to find out where his real bottom line is going to be on tariffs going forward. They're going to be significantly lower, I think, than what he announced on Tuesday of last week or Wednesday of last week. But I don't think they're going to go directly to zero. I think he is looking to raise hundreds of billions of dollars through tariffs, and thereby kind of reducing the pressure on the income tax, making it easier to lower the income taxes, to take taxes on tips away, for example, and to eliminate taxes for people making $150K or less. So I think that there's sort of a multi-pronged aspect to what he's trying to get done. And, as usual, he's kind of showing he's the master of the deal.
The art of the deal, that's for sure.
The art of the
just
deal.
wanted to switch gears real quick because we have this little thing called a gubernatorial race in 2026. It's 2025 already. Who's running besides the sheriff from DuPage County for governor?
We don't know yet. I'm looking at it. I think some other folks are still looking at it. And look, I think we could have a real opportunity in Illinois. The question is, when have the people of Illinois had enough? I mean, Chris, you're from Big D now, but Illinois.
I've seen my home state crumble year after year. Sell its soul for gambling, weed, and they're still broke. And the tollway was supposed to stop collecting decades ago is still collecting. It's all a disgrace. The pensions, they can't afford none of this crap.
No, look, the government is run for the benefit of the people in the government. We're all supposed to serve them instead of the other way around.
Right.
It's everything in Illinois is backwards. And the question is when will the people of Illinois be ready for something different, something normal? And I think, we could be on the verge of that. Our results in the elections, the local elections last Tuesday were depressing.
Yes.
But I think a lot of that is because of mechanical functions. J.B. Pritzker has invested millions upon millions of dollars getting the low propensity voter, the kind of the periodic voter, signed up for permanent vote by mail. So they have a built-in turnout machine. They're able to get their voters out to the polls at a much lower cost and with much higher frequency than we are. And so the only way we're going to be competitive in this state is to invest money in those kind of projects. We've been against vote by mail, and there's a lot of problems with vote by mail. But the bottom line is it makes it easier for your voters to vote. And we used to, you go back 15 years, we did used to take advantage of the absentee ballot before it became kind of a wide open system the way they've done it, and recoiled from that. But we need to take advantage of the rules as they are. We got to invest millions of dollars getting the low propensity voters signed up for permanent vote by mail. So our voters it's as easy for our voters to vote as it is for their voters. That's how we're going to be competitive. Chris, Illinois is closer to turning red than Texas is to turning blue.
Really?
The maximum, they max out at 54.5%. That is their maximum vote total. With the worst possible candidate and the worst environment for Republicans, they're going to get 54.5%. So that is our stretch. We're not California or New York. They're in the 60 percentiles, right? We need to take care of these kind of basic blocking and tallying, and we have to produce, the people are with us on our ideas. We need candidates that people find attractive. So, look, that's going to be the game. We can win this. We can turn this state around. We have a lot of natural advantages. It's just a question of us making it happen.
What about Governor Richard Porter?
Well, like I said, I'm looking at it, but there's you're going to need to raise a whole lot of money. So
it's always about
because
money.
I think, and so that's going to be. I've been feeling out the folks and seeing how much they're willing to invest, because we do need to put money into the ground, and that's the only way we're going to be able to reap the corn in the future is putting money into these projects, and that's going to take folks, opening their wallets, and it's going to take tens of millions of dollars. And a lot of the folks that used to give us this money have moved away.
Right.
So we got to find some new donors and maybe get some donors from outside the state to help investing in this too. But look, I think Illinois has got a lot of prospects. I'm sort of excited about the idea of turning the state around, and we'll see.
All right. Richard Porter, going to have to leave it there for today. Former national committeeman to the RNC from Illinois. And you can read his article at realclearpolitics.com. And Richard Porter joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you remember when you were a kid and you fantasized that your bicycle was a motorcycle? Maybe you even put baseball cards in the spokes to make it sound like a motorcycle. But it really wasn't a motorcycle. Sometimes things just aren't what you want them to be. Like, let's take your retirement, for instance. Sometimes it looks like the numbers are getting to a pretty high amount. Might be $500,000, maybe $1 million, maybe more. But did you factor in all of the things like inflation, taxes, unpredictable market activities, things that make the numbers not appear what they are, security in your retirement? Does it make you worry sometimes when you see market activity or you hear contradictory evidence of inflation numbers or what taxes will be on retirement? If these things make you worry, get nervous, even wonder if you have enough, well, then it's time to call Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group for a complimentary discovery meeting. And you can do that today. Simply call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Going to be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
You probably didn't realize that in Illinois, there are more than 30 facilities that prey on women who are considering abortions. The media wants you to think this issue is about choice, when in reality, it's an attack to make money off women in crisis. Join Caring Network of Illinois in their vision to end abortion right here in Chicagoland. By building clinics and providing ongoing support and free pregnancy consultations, they're reaching and equipping women to choose life. Learn how you can be a part of the solution by donating, praying, or volunteering. Go to 1160hope.com/caring. That's 1160hope.com/caring.
AM 560, The Answer.
So what do we get for a year of negotiations? What's in that CTU contract? We'll get the latest with Paul Vallis. But first, we have to stop by that newsroom once again. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 40 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. U.S. stock futures are plunging, giving an indication of what may be coming today following a rough week on Wall Street. President Trump said Sunday he wasn't sure what today will hold.
Now, what's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger. And eventually, it'll be a country like no other. It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
The market was slammed following continuing concerns that Trump has ignited a global trade war in regards to his new tariffs. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House today to discuss new U.S. tariffs imposed on his country. President Trump told reporters Friday that he invited Netanyahu for discussions. The talks will also likely include Israel's war in Gaza. Netanyahu's visit could mark the first attempt by a foreign leader to try to negotiate a deal on tariffs. The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with cuts to teacher training grants. The cuts are part of the president's crackdown on DEI initiatives. It's a setback for 8 Democratic-led states that brought a challenge to the White House's policy. The court ruled 5-4 to put a hold on the order from the U.S. District Judge that required that the Department of Education reinstate the funding to those states while legal proceedings were conducted. Chief Justice Roberts joined the court's 3 liberal justices in dissent of the decision. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RIT.com. Again, that's AIR-RIT.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher knows what normal Americans are thinking.
Do Democrats feel comfortable defending horrific, thug, animalistic gang members like Tren de Aragua? And the truth of the matter is, normal Americans aren't on the side of the Democrats on this. And I wonder if Democrats are sitting around saying, what are we doing?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
This Easter, treat your family to a day they'll never forget with brunch at the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. Brunch reservations are available now for Easter Sunday, April 20th, with seatings from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom. Experience an exquisite meal in a buffet style, feast at the decadent carving, crepes, and dessert stations. Enjoy family entertainment, complimentary beer and wine, and a visit from the Easter Bunny for memorable photos, plus an egg hunt and interactive train rides for the kids. There's no better place to celebrate Easter Sunday than as guests of Trump Chicago, where you'll find the most iconic views of the Chicago skyline. Brunch reservations are available now for Easter Sunday, April 20th, with seatings from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom. Delight in this one-of-a-kind extravaganza. Make your reservations today by visiting Eventbrite.com and search Easter Brunch, Trump Chicago. That's Eventbrite and search Easter Brunch, Trump Chicago, and order your tickets today. Once again, that's Eventbrite.com and search Easter Brunch, Trump Chicago. Happy Easter.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or Avastin-Captid Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center on the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, about 17 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound, about 40 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 38 minutes. Outbound, 36 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 28 minutes. On the outbound side, about 23 minutes. This report is sponsored by True Green. We're back in the Miller's Yard, who now use True Green. The lawn started looking like a golf course, and PGA Tour golfers made it their favorite stop. Get a PGA Tour quality lawn for as little as $1 a day at TrueGreen.com. Exclusions apply. See TrueGreen.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Breezy, cloudy, couple of snow showers today, high 42. Clear to partly cloudy, cold tonight with a low 25. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high 43. Clouds and a bit of snow and rain at times in the morning on Wednesday. Little or no accumulation, the high Wednesday 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Yay, they finally did it. The CTU and Chicago School Board reached an agreement. $1.5 billion, 4-year contract. What they got. Smaller class sizes, librarians and nurses at every school, even for a school that has less population than the student-teacher population. Bilingual staff has doubled. 12 weeks of paternal leave. So, Chris, if your wife had a baby, you could take off.
Or if I had one, men can get pregnant.
That's right. That's right. Men could get pap smears, according to our Illinois Republican leader, Tony McCumbee, because that makes zero sense. Ugh, don't get me started. Infertility treatments, extra prep time for elementary teachers, 4% increase your first year for first-time teachers, and much more if you're tenured at CPS. So $1.5 billion. And for what? What are the reading levels? What are the math levels? With more on that, let's welcome back to the program our good friend, Paul Vallis, policy advisor for IllinoisPolicy.org, former candidate for mayor and former CEO of CPS. Good morning, Mr. Vallis. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what do you make of this contract? I mean, we knew they were going to cave because Brandon Johnson, as he has told us repeatedly, is a former CPS teacher who actually is still with CPS. He's just on leave right now.
Yeah, Brandon was a teacher for 4 years at an elementary school, incidentally, that I built, the Jenner School. And then, of course, lasted a single year at Westinghouse. Of course, Stacey Davis Gates, I think, lasted only 6 years as teachers. So the city is effectively really being run by two failed teachers. So that's what they do. You know, when you can't make it in the classroom, you become a union organizer. So, so this constant reference to I'm a teacher and I know the classroom and things like that. Look, this is a terrible contract for children, and it's a terrible contract for taxpayers. I'll tell you why it's a terrible contract for children, because it really doesn't do anything to hold teachers, schools, or even the students themselves accountable. They've abandoned standards. They've returned to social promotion. They have now stopped ranking schools based on academic performance. They're constantly demonizing testing. So they want no accountability. And, of course, they're trying to close the magnet schools because the magnet schools offer an embarrassing contrast with the neighborhood schools. So this is and the contract itself continues to work to destroy public school charters, which for Black children and Latino children, low-income children, are the only alternative to their failing schools. They cap charters. They're now renewing them every 2 years, which means it's impossible for those charters to have any sort of stability. You saw what they did with the Acero charter when they organized the charter teachers, and then they immediately struck, and the test scores plummeted. I mean, it's just so on the one hand, they're degrading the quality of the schools, and then on the other hand, they're blocking children, particularly poor children, overwhelmingly Black and Latino, from having any alternative to their failing school.
Well, here's Mayor Johnson once the CTU contract was approved.
This contract does reflect the values that I ran on and what the people of Chicago expected from my administration.
So he's claiming victory, obviously, but what are the actual numbers when it comes to reading and math proficiency at CPS?
Well, in aggregate, only barely a third of the children are reading at grade level. Barely a sixth of the children are computing at grade level. And among black students, the test scores are far lower. Now, of course, they brag about record graduation rates, but they're simply promoting children to the next level, regardless of whether or not they're academically prepared. And look, when he talks about the values, this contract solely advances the interests of the teachers union. It gives them a pay increase, and as you pointed out, it's between four. I think veteran teachers get a slightly higher pay increase. But remember, that's in addition to the step increases, the longevity increases.
Oh.
So for the majority of the teachers, every year their pay is going to go up twice that amount. It adds more Chicago Teacher Union employees. And before the contract was approved, Amy, they already had one employee for every 7.6 kids. They have 22,000 non-teaching employees in the Chicago public schools. And of course, it continues to really remove standards altogether. So it's a terrible contract, and it's going to cost taxpayers about $1.5 billion, which means not only school property taxes are going to rise again every year to the max, but the city's going to have to provide even more, even greater subsidies to the schools, which means city property taxes are going to go up too.
Well, what about the teacher's pension? I mean, who owes who for what, and what's that all about?
Well, right now there's a fixed property tax levy that taxpayers pay in order to satisfy a part of the teacher pension obligation. In terms of new pension obligations, that's picked up by the state. So this contract really has nothing to do with the pensions. It's not like additional school district money is being diverted to pensions. This contract, pure and simple, is a $1.5 billion handout to the Chicago Teachers Union, a handout that is going to do nothing to improve the quality of a school system that is already spending $30,000 per student.
Paul Vallis, it's Chris, and I wanted to ask you a few things here. Okay, so looking at this analysis of the CTU's new contract, continued abandon of standards and accountability, moving to a soft scoring assessment system. So, in other words, it's much easier to look better with soft scoring. They don't want you to know the results, the ratings, the scores. Unlike almost every business or non-business out there, no results to be known. Despite the dramatic drop in student proficiency scores, CTU walkouts, and union forced remote learning, CPS teachers were evaluated as excellent and proficient at a rate of 99%, a rise from 98% in 2020, and yet there was at 91% as excellent or proficient in pre-COVID and 85% in 2018. So their results go higher and higher from BS. The scoring, the soft scoring, it makes it look better. And then look at this: they killed the Invest in Kids tax credit private school scholarship program. They have robbed 15,000 pupils around the state, left stranded without scholarships. A lot of these kids going to multiple private schools that were closed completely. A lot of them are black and brown kids. This is a civil rights issue. They're stripping them from schools. They're stripping away the ability to gauge their performance, and they're giving themselves higher and higher reviews. What am I missing?
Absolutely. You know, you know how they like to throw words around like inequity or institutional racism or apartheid? Well, the Chicago Teachers Union is perpetuating an apartheid school system, because if you are from a low-income family, and the overwhelming vast majority of children who go to the Chicago public schools are black and Latino, you are in effect stuck in a failing school.
Correct.
With few any alternatives. The CTU does not, it's literally holding these teachers hostage. And this contract simply perpetuates it. And let me tell you some of the other things about saying, oh, well, now we have a librarian or a social worker. They have one employee for every 7.6 kids. They have 7,500 employees who are not even in the schools. They have 22,000 non-teaching employees. Why isn't there a librarian? in every school. Why don't they have lower class sizes? Amy, only 54% of the money that the school district collects actually finds its way into the local schools. So this is highway robbery, and it is going to cost taxpayers while doing even more serious damage to Chicago's economy, because they are constantly graduating from their high schools students that are not prepared for college in increasing numbers, and students that are not prepared for the work world.
No, I've seen it firsthand. A PE teacher pass people because he was told by the principal to do that. I mean, it's just sickening. So where is the money going? Does they always say follow the money, but who's cashing in on this?
Well, look, the central regional offices and district-wide programs and the contracts for non-education related services, as I mentioned, and this is not unique to Chicago. You can look at suburban districts, and on the average, maybe 65% of the money actually finds its way into the classroom. It's far worse in Chicago. But the money is really going to perpetuate what has really become a political machine. I mean, the Chicago Teachers Union is now a political organization. And look, the mayor is bragging that, this is the first time in 15 years we haven't had a strike or a threat of strike. Well, let me tell you, it was your leadership, the leadership of the core caucus, which is the current union leadership, Stacey Davis Gates. They're the ones who, over the last 12 years, struck 5 times. You remember, Amy, during COVID, where they walked off the job 3 times to keep schools closed for 78 straight weeks, including about a year longer than other schools remained closed, because it was very clear after the COVID summer that the students were not being, or faculty were not being in any way adversely impacted by COVID in the schools, that in many respects the schools were the safest place. So This is just I believe that this is just a disaster. This is highway robbery.
Catholics weren't dropping dead. Remember that back then? And then remember when the CTU lied and told 2 4th or 5th grade girls that they brought COVID home and killed their mothers? Remember that? Well, I remember that because I called the ME almost on a daily basis and waited for the autopsy results. One never even had COVID. She drank herself to death, and the other one died with COVID, but she had severe hypertension, didn't get vaccinated, was going out all the time.
Amy, if you remember, during COVID, I guest hosted on a number of occasions, and we talked about this on a number of occasions. And in fact, when I met with, during the campaign, when I met with Governor Pritzker, he spent most of the time, talking about the criticism of his COVID handlings that I had made on your show.
Thin-skinned.
Exactly, which was the most bizarre thing ever. You would think that you actually pay somebody to monitor your show on a daily basis. I swear to God, they had this long notepad. It was the most bizarre thing. We didn't talk about the CTA. We didn't talk about schools. We didn't talk about economic development. We didn't talk about crime. No, we talked about me smirking when you said something critical about their COVID mitigation. So at the end of the day, these are really not serious people, and this is just more of the same, and the city is really going to suffer for it. And I have to tell you this, too. People do not realize the devastating impact that the school closings for 78 straight weeks and the district's failure to set up recovery programs to bring these kids back have had on rising crime. Because the spike in crime post-COVID can be laid at the feet of the teachers union and the shutting down of schools for 78 weeks, because there were historic increases in violent crime committed against school-age children and committed by school-age children. So people need to wake up, and they need to wake up at the ballot box. I think they're beginning to do that. As you know, the school district lost candidates for the local school board. Most of their candidates lost. So there is at least a glimmer of hope.
Paul, the mayor went over to Diet High School, where they have 2% of tested students that can read at grade level, 2% only, and he congratulated them as a great example of a sustainable community school because their basketball team won the state championship, according to IllinoisPolicy.org. Why does he congratulate failure? And the Wall Street Journal says, as usual, in this new contract. The losers are the students. So twofold. Why does he congratulate failure, Mayor Johnson? And do you agree with the Journal that teachers and Brandon win at the expense of kids?
Yeah, well, first of all, I absolutely agree with the Journal. But let me give you a better example, and I wrote about this. And that's Hope Academy on the west side of a Christian high school founded by Bob Mezikowski. They have 300 kids. They won the state championship in basketball, too. Let me tell you, it's one of the top it's in the top 20% of high schools in the state. It's overwhelmingly Black and Latino and low income. It's on the west side. They had a 400-student waiting list last year because now a mile down the street is Manly High School. Okay, Manly High School, a model for the Chicago Teachers Union, built for 1,200 kids. I renovated it 25 years ago when it had like 900 students. It has 76 students and 27 faculty, and I don't know if there's a single student. Maybe there's one or two of those students who are meeting standards. Imagine that, 76 kids in a high school building built for 1,200 with 27 faculty.
They just need more money and more faculty. They're almost there, Paul.
Well, look, Manly. If I had been superintendent, I would have given Hope Manly. They would have enrolled the 76 kids at Manly, who Manly High School has been failing, and they would have added hundreds of more students from the west side who are looking at for school alternatives to the failing Chicago public schools that they've been going to.
I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that these high schools are still open. Like uptown near me, they have 52 teachers and 53 students. I mean, this is just it's not a functioning system.
Well, here's the record. Douglas High School, 32 students, is it? Yeah. 26 faculty. Look, they literally have one-on-one staff to faculty, yet those schools are meeting proficiency. And we're going to get more of the same because they're so-called quality community schools. The sustainable community schools model is all designed to funnel more resources to schools that have significantly lost population. They're saying schools shouldn't be funded by the number of pupils they have, but they should be funded based on need. And really, that's kind of a camouflage word for what they really want to do, which is, they want to have these schools that are 20, 30, 35% capacity. They're losing capacity. They don't want them to lose staff. This is all about the protection of Chicago teacher union jobs.
All right, Paul Vallas, we're going to have to leave it here for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And you could read his works at illinoispolicy.org and also on X. So thanks, Paul, for joining us.
Yeah, and also, as you know, I'm running weekly for the Contrarian, and I've done a piece that will be out today, the Chicago Contrarian, on the Chicago Teachers Union's apartheid school system.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Paul Vallas, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
First class isn't as cheap as Coach, and you can't buy Prada for a Fruit of the Loom price.
But while they last, you can buy high-end Beautyrest Black and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hassellus Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These are the best of the best, and now you can get them for way less. Like a Beautyrest Black LX Hybrid was $3,599, but now it's just $971. Or a Sealy Posturepedic Golden Acres Pillow Top was $1,093, but the floor model is just $546. Visit any employee-free Hassellus showroom and test your favorite floor model without salespeople breathing down your neck. You won't find these mattresses priced this low anywhere else. It's like buying a Lamborghini for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Only a few floor models are available at each Hassellus mattress location, and when they're gone for good. Find your employee-free Chicagoland showroom at hassellus.com.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Chris Crock,
Yes.
Where can people follow you on X?
At Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrock. I just am about to tweet out the Paul Vallis column.
Okay, great. And then do you want to tweet out the White Sox security issues that they're having there?
Sure, I can. I actually did retweet it the other day, and I will retweet it again so that you could, everything we talked about.
Okay, we're up against the clock. It's 9 a.m.
This is a Fox News alert. New week, same selling at the stock market. I'm Dave Anthony. That opening bell rings in more losses after markets plunged overnight in Asia. The Dow is down 910 points. It's dropped more than 4,000 the past 3 trading days on continued worry about President Trump's new U.S. tariffs hurting the economy globally. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff worries about a recession, telling NBC's Meet the Press.
It will be the Trump recession. He will completely own it. This is a completely self-destructive economic act that he's engaged in.
But the president says this about the market sell-off.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix it.